Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Fall Preseason Show starting. We have a full booth of commentators tonight, so let's get those introductions. Nathaniel,
Oh, it's great to be here, and it's going to be an exciting one.
Jen, joined by a pro this time.
Oh, what's up from Taipei? Not Japan for once.
Wow.
Definitely out east regardless. Brett.
The opposite of a pro. Hello.
All right, Isabella.
Hi everyone, super excited to be here.
And running the cast is Harrison.
Woo! Mr. Hardstuck A2 in the flesh. Woo!
Don't worry, there'll be a lot of talking about A1 and A2.
Yeah.
We are now
We'll get
in
there.
the final season of year 3 for Armel. This is season number 12. We've had 10 ranked seasons in the inaugural Beta League. This will be the 12th coming in here. There were really 3 storylines going into last season that I saw. First, the new metric where we allowed double promotions in the lower divisions if you hit plus 240. There were a few of them, although not quite as many as we suspected, but there was a lot of action that direction. And on the other end, you had 2 things happening in A1. So many of the Snake Shack players had gotten in there. What would happen? Would they survive? Would they end up just dominating, taking a stranglehold? And similarly, 10 seasons of A1, and there were 2 people that were left over, and that was Max and me. Would either of us survive? Would either of us ever win a title? And so those were the big storylines coming in. So let's take a look at C1.
Yep, starting from the bottom, let's see how C1 went last division. I think there's a lot of recognizable names in this list that nobody is going to be surprised they promoted. It looks like 20 of the, how many were there? 36 C1 players by the end of it? Does that sound right? I know there were some mid sort of season
Yeah,
drops.
it looks like
but
20 promotions to me. One of them being Koichi, who's a Chicago guy.
The people's champion.
Yeah.
Can't really call him.
Go to a
anything
tournament
else.
with him.
Overall,
Please.
just this division had low deal-in rates at the top, low win values, relatively high deal-in rate, high call rate. And a couple of those that jump out at me are Reason and Charles with 68.2% there. That is getting some action, 81% participation rate. That's our internal metric. We have a couple of those. Participation is just adding your call rate and your reach rate. The other metric we use is EV, estimated value or expected value, which is your win percentage times your win average minus your deal in percentage times your deal in average. Basically, how many points you expect to gain in a passive hand that doesn't involve a deal in.
I'm in love with that call rate. That's how you got to play these lower leagues. You got to be very aggressive. You got to participate a lot.
That call rate is terrifying to me. I'm scared.
That's not the highest we've seen in Armel, though.
No.
Did we have a
We've had players pushing 80%. I want to say 82 was the highest we had.
For just call, not even combined participation?
Just in call rate.
Jeez.
I'm looking at, there are 24 people in the positives in this division out of 36.
Yeah, usually what happens is C1 is you get 4 or 5 people that just steal everyone else's points. And that will happen, but it didn't happen in C1. You'll find some more of that in other divisions. But just very consistent. It looks pretty standard. I mean, you have Jake, who got absolutely destroyed. Harrison, can you talk about anything on that?
Well, I will say Jake is a part of our club, like how Kevin is a part of our club at the moment. Away, but no other home to go to, so we will gladly take them. I know Dennis and Jake have kind of discovered this game together. I think a lot of them, or a lot of their play rubs off on each other. That being said, I think Dennis definitely gets more practice. My biggest guess for Jake is just kind of a lack of adapting to online play, especially having those weekly games can be really tough too. I want to say this is Jake's first season, maybe second, and sometimes it takes a couple seasons to get used to that. I have a weekly game, I have to get my head in the game, I have to play to my potential, and always bring it in order to do well in whatever division I'm in.
One other name that's jumping out at me right now is Veronica, right smack dab in the middle. the lowest participation rate, lowest deal-in rate, one of the lowest win rates, mostly seconds and thirds. Like, you are like plus 43.7 as a almost like a warm body at the table.
I was chatting with Veronica not too long ago, and she said that, yeah, her games, she just hasn't had very much opportunity to do very much, just sitting at the table, not hitting tempi, but also, as a result, at least making sure to not deal in. That 9.3% deal in rate is the lowest in the division, extremely strong. And, sometimes in Mahjong, you're not going to get the opportunities to win. But in those situations, as long as you make sure that you don't deal in, that you're minimizing your losses, you can still hang around at the top. And especially in C1, the lower divisions frequently get bonus promotion slots. I believe, players will see in a typical season that's not split into a beta league that you'll get 6 promotions out of C1. Well, we can see it definitely increased here. But I think in recent memory, this is the first time where not everyone that was positive ended up promoting. We see TC at plus 32.2, Kaysen at plus 22.7, Nicholas and Elise also with positive results. And in the past couple of seasons, those would have been promotions, but the bubble is not rising as quickly. The upper divisions are starting to get filled out a bit. So maybe that's a sign for the future that you still will get multiple bonus promotion slots, but maybe not as many as you might expect.
Hasten there with that
Also-
30% win rate. Really won a bunch of hands, but just wasn't that much value. Got to put those two together to get those points.
Looking at the participation rate, Veronica also has one of the lowest at 40%, which is already quite high compared to some of the other divisions. But in a league like C1, where everyone is just always so aggressive, sometimes the faster hands are needed to win, and some people just aren't very open players.
I'm about to panic.
Well, you see that call rate 3% higher than league average. So there is definitely some aggressive play here. A couple of names I'd also like to shout out are Elise, sitting there with the plus 0.2, wins the Saki Award for the season. Closest score in all of Armold, plus minus 0. And someone that's been in the league for a while, but been kind of hard stuck in C1 is my clubmate Thomason, or Tom, who finally got out with that promotion, sitting there with 47.8. So congratulations there.
A few other names that I can point out. I know from the Midwest group, a number of players from the Missouri club joined the league last season. A number more will be joining this season. And I think it was Mitchell who popped out to the top there with a plus 54.9, getting a promotion spot. Also other names on the list, Noel from Seattle club, who finished second place at the North American Open this year, was a promotion out of C1 this division, just joining the league recently. And so looking forward to see Noel continuing to climb.
That's absolutely incredible, because when I played against Noelle in person at the Seattle tournament in January, she was brand new. Her condition was like, I just can't chombo. I don't know enough of the rules not to chombo. So I'm like, my whole goal is not to chombo in the whole tournament. And then to see her come from basically that in January to second at NAO and now immediately promoting after she joins Armel is great. Great improvement.
Yeah, nice bounce back season for a couple of players. Ty comes to mind. Had a pretty rough season last time, but heading back to B3, someone that had been at one of their earlier WRC main events. And of course, Alex, who's in our commentary every once in a while, solid result there in 4th place with a nice little 23% win rate and a pretty high win average.
And now something very special. We don't have any clips for C1. Normally we have some fun moments we've gotten throughout the season. But what we do have, Chase, our resident code monkey, working very hard behind the scenes to bring the best and brightest and newest stuff to ARML, has a bot system and has officially made super nice fun visuals of the big hands hit. And we can see them per division. So let's take a look at some of these Sanbaimons and Yakumons from the C1 division in lieu of some of the clips we have. First off, we're starting out with Travis S hitting a Sanbaimon on a Riichi Sumo Sananko Hatsu Dora 3 Ura 3 Scan Classic, or the Scam Classic. A beautiful high pie at the bottom.
High pie.
Clearly, Works super hard for this one.
You know what's
Especially
better
with
than
Earth
drawing
Ray.
Dora?
Drawing 6 of it.
Drawing Dora and then flipping 3 aura of the Dora you just drew.
Literal last one under the wall too, because you can see the other 2 out. So much room left for it to be in the live wall too.
I believe this might have been Travis's first season, but definitely a big win here. You can see it's going to overtake at least for second, but probably also first.
I met
With all those
Trav.
sticks in the middle.
In this
Travis
game,
at
certainly would
the,
jump up into first going it all last.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, met Travis at the Chicago tournament. That was a good time.
And then moving on to Yakumans, we have our first
Oh.
one, Kokishi Muso, hit by DC's own Gabe.
Wait a minute.
Very
1, 2,
solid
3, 4,
up-and-coming
5,
player.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Also, no overflow. I would absolutely push this 9 as well. Sometimes you
Oh,
do
yeah.
Yakuma to go, wait, you really had it? Aww.
Yeah, you're really ready for it. All those other 1 chances and you didn't miss.
The no overflow off of a 9 is just rude, actually.
I think 6 of the honors to start with out of 7 is a really good starting point because the honors are the ones you're most worried about that might get pawned later on. But having
Right.
6 out of 7, incredible.
And it looks like we
Or
have
just like held onto his safe tiles and discarded out early. Oh
Ooh.
boy.
yeah, another Yakuman, fun one. Dai Sanken didn't quite get the world and then some from it, but certainly had a good hand.
Yeah, beautiful hand.
Kept
The
that
regret of
north.
not holding that north with a double
The
The
Yakuma
North, to
Sumo.
be fair, the North looks like it would have died out. To be fair, because there's
I
2
love the
out, so
con.
there might be 1 more left. But you also have to get somebody to justify pushing it against that absolute monster of a hand.
I
Oh,
love
looks
how
like you
the
drew
high
it.
pie.
North. Oh, ooh, missed that one.
Yeah, I love how the high pie has just all 4 white dragons in a con already, which means Alex conned before his first draw.
He
Right.
timed me to start. That's so funny.
That sounds Brett approved.
That's a
Yes,
flow builder play.
I'm very. There's a giant smile on my face right now. I love this con.
The occultics will tell you that's how you get Yakumans doing stuff like that. But that's going to be our last big hand, so let's move on over to B3 division and our first
Double.
ever double promotion to Bianca A. Good stuff.
Congratulations, Bianca. 255.5, a very solid season. 25% win rate, 6,500 average. Usually, when you win that many points, you're not winning that many hands, but just point after point. You can see how that adds up to 255 pretty easily. You see Ian there in second with a 31% win rate, a lower dealer rate, is just not enough because Bianca had so much value every single time.
Yeah, I watched some
Does
of
anyone
Bianca's-
have?
Ooh,
Does anyone have her how many Dora per hand stat?
Oh, believe me, Chase is working on that. Chase, by request of yours truly, is getting all the luck stats. How many Dora, Ura flips that matter. We're in the coming season, some people are going to get exposed. It's
2
probably going
Dora
to be me
average.
that I'm luckier than more people, but we can ignore that. part.
Also, on the other end, poor
You can offset
Yuming,
it by
solid
complaining
results here. 22.9% win rate, 10.4% deal rate, 902 EV, third in the division, and a minus 73.
That almost
That just
makes me
terrible situational positioning. It's really rough.
Oh, you know what it is too? Yumeng must have missed a couple games too, because we see that 3-year miss. So with penalty,
Yeah, with the 90
definitely
penalty,
makes
that'll
sense.
take you out,
90.
and that was the difference between
should be a
promotion. That is
Mhm.
Plus
something. If you're in Armel,
18.4.
you lose 30 points if you skip a game or don't show up. It is an obligation for everyone in the league to show up because you're not only wasting your own time, you're potentially causing 3 other people problems. And scheduling is already enough of a pain for a lot of us. I think everyone here can attest to that.
Look at Remy. Missed 1 game, minus 30.2. That would have tied for the Saki award.
On the negative, yeah, that would have done it.
I'm looking at a couple big gaps in scoring. You got from Alec to Travis 9 to 10, almost 80 points.
Mhm.
If Remy had played their last game, that would be over 50 points from 13th to 14th, or well, almost 50 points.
Yeah, very good reminder to make sure that when you schedule, you put those on your calendar and get reminders for it.
Set your
Don't
little
miss those
phone
games.
alarms. Make sure you have it on your correct time setting. I've almost messed that up twice. Do
There
well.
is
Don't
one
fall asleep
person.
waiting for the game to start.
Yeah.
Not gonna say who did that this season.
Ugh.
I
Okay,
have accidentally missed done like I was traveling, so I was in a different time zone than I was expecting to be at when I scheduled the game, and was totally napping and slept through the first game. So oops.
Oh, I done that.
I will say I am very excited with the players coming out of B3. We have Dennis, who did very well at the DC Open this year, has been making the tournament rounds. Up and coming new player, very young, hot.
Also a lover of Sanzo.
Oh, jeez,
Nice.
I forgot. We'll break that from Dennis soon enough. Tess, Rochester, or a Nine Gates player, excuse me. Huge Tess fan. Travis G, I believe, has been in the Armol for a minute. Alex Z, wait. Who's Alex Z again? I was thinking of Alan. Yeah, then
That's New England Alec. Alec, very, very much looking at the AIs to help shape his game a little bit. So maybe a
Yes.
budding member of the Snake Shack.
Of course. Cadency also, big new name, up and comer. Did very well in B3.
Actually, Caden and I are family, and now we're going to be playing against each other in B2. And so he sent me immediately, like, oh no, we're playing against each other.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
That's
And
really
and
fun.
also
Yeah.
a fun note about Caden. Caden recently in the IORMC qualifiers placed second, so he will
Oh,
be
yeah.
representing Team USA at the International Online Riichi Mahjong competition.
Wow.
Let's go.
Couple of names I'd like to shout out. Blaine, who's been in the booth with us from time to time, did manage to survive. Got really close, but held on in that last session. And the other thing are a couple call rates here that warm my heart and a couple that hurt me. I love the ones that are over 50 with Mary Jade and Scott, and I hate the ones that are under 20 with Leslie and Maya. So all sorts of different play styles, all sorts of different methods.
Don't forget
And
Dennis.
Dennis.
At 18 points.
I
Oh,
forgot
wow.
Dennis.
He's been playing
Oh,
Dennis, Dennis,
I
what are
just
you doing?
removed.
We'll fix that.
Didn't even want to think about it.
We'll fix
Oh
that
no.
next season.
Leslie particularly, 35.2% participation rate, maybe the lowest I've ever seen of anyone in
God.
any division.
Yeah, wow.
And yet, like with these statistics, 6
It
firsts,
worked.
8 seconds, 8 thirds, and 4th avoidance play. Very strong positional awareness. And the deal-in value and deal-in rate are very low. So maybe not participate in a lot of the hands, but just as we saw from C1 earlier, you don't necessarily need to win all the hands. If your positional play is good and you can move up one spot in South 4 in every single game, you'll have pretty good results.
I just love how different the play styles of Leslie and Mary Jane are right next to each other, and yet the positioning almost equivalent.
I mean, that's how it works. That's how Riichi is. Multiple different ways to approach a game can lead to similar results as long as you stay consistent. Stay at
There's
it.
also the very interesting point that ARML does of floating UMA. So having 8 third place wins, who knows how many of those were actually positive third places.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Another thing we always say is you have to win hands to advance. And unfortunately, there for Dave, great average win, but 15% on the actual rate. So that's, especially the 21%, that's not going to cut it in B3.
Now let's
Of course.
switch. Oh, what were you going to say, Nate?
I was going to comment on Ross was the champion of open hands previously, but didn't end up making out this time around despite having an extremely high win average as well.
And with that, if we go here, I believe we have some big hands that we got to get to for the B3. There were a ton of absolute monsters. Some which we might even have clips that tie into lately. We're beginning it off with Dennis's extremely hard-earned Ura 6 Riichi for
It's my
Zanbai
favorite
on.
hand I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And if you hadn't noticed, we do not abort when there are 4 cards.
Yeah, that might have been
Good.
a learning
Again.
moment. Has this ever happened
They're all
before? Have we ever
closed?
seen 4
They're
cons?
all closed. I think we've had a couple games with 4 cons. This is certainly the only one we've had with 4 closed cons. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous to get a couple, and here we have 4 of them from different players, and then it just fills the 4. Just see, wait. I want my Suwako or some sort of Sunanko shift, maybe at least a better weight. If it's, you know what? Fine. Throw the stick in. We'll draw the 4 so ourselves. Hits it, and we can see the Aura Bomb.
Oh my goodness! I think Dennis was even waiting, and then another con happened. He's like, "Well, whatever. I'm just gonna take this
He's
reach and
like,
hope for
"There's two,
Uda."
might
And
as
boy, did
well.
he hit! But I almost wish this image had all the other hands open too, because everyone was Tenpai, and there was at least one more Sanbaimon. I think there's another Sanbaimon and a Baimon Tenpai in the closed hands here. So
Yeah, I want to say Dealer was Sanbaimon Tenpai. I remember that too.
Ember in chat just pointed out everyone who called a con is also in reach.
Oh yeah.
yeah, everyone wanted this one.
Everyone wanted the little hand in the pie.
And then the player across is the only one that's showing Dora 4 from the con. We don't know
Yeah,
what
all
order
those cons
it
and
conned
nobody
in,
hits
but-
anything. I mean, even Dennis had what, Dora 2 from 5 indicators?
He had
all
no
his value is
Pinzu.
underneath.
Yeah, all of them were buried underneath, fortunately for him. And now moving on to Yakumons, we're starting out with Racing with, just a blessed high pie. Your bread and butter, let's make a Honitsu out of this. A Richipots non-Hatsu Honitsu Dora 3 and Ur 3.
Yeah, desperation situation, 3,600. It's all last. The hand isn't great, but maybe if we can get a couple draws, we can kind of shift to the Honitsu, hits it, and then the Dora comes out and flips the Aura 3 on top of it for a Kazue Yakumon. This is one of the deviations we have from WRC rules. We say Kazue Sanbaimon is a dumb rule. We don't like it. If you hit Yakumon, give them the Yakumon, and here it is.
That Hatsu discard is a little tragic.
Yeah,
adding
one out
2
on the
Han
board.
with that alone.
But what are you gonna do? Sometimes you just gotta throw it. Odds are it passes.
How dangerous could this dealer reach be anyway in South 4, right?
Oh, we had 2
Oh,
Kazues. I forgot
goodness.
about this one. A Sananko, Toitoi, Hatsuchun, Honroto, Honitsu, Dora 3. So Ricky L able to pull out an open Kazue, something that I feel like is even rarer than a closed one. Almost certainly just waits on that Tonki Hellweight 9p and of course hits. Those blessed with Yakumons seemingly just have to hit it.
Does that 135 mean we've had 135 Yakumon hands in the league?
Since conception, I believe so. I believe
Wow.
that's 135 with 7,600 hands or games, something like that.
Whew.
It's such a beautiful hand.
Oh yeah, especially from that high pie. Like you can kind of trace.
Like
how
you
it
can
got
feel
from
that's
A to
how it's
B.
going to get there. Yeah, it just goes for the value and gets it. I really like the Faisu discard. Take one look at it. You know what? It just Chanta. Like maybe it moved to Honitsu, and then you keep drawing, and oh wait, maybe it's not only Chanta. Cuts the 8-pin. Maybe it's Toitoi and everything else you see here, and hits it. And the 9 comes out after reaching. This is a Hellweight Genbutsu 9-pin.
I admire this hand deeply.
I wonder if this is the first open Kazue that we've had. I really wonder. I wonder if
I think it is.
I can't remember seeing one before. I feel like it is. Congratulations to Ricky.
Ricky, you have a very unique hand.
We also have.
I know this one.
Yeah, 2 other Yakumons to get to in B3. There were 4 this season. We have a Suanko by, I believe, Yukfai, if that's how you pronounce it.
The lesson you take from this one is if you wait on North, you will win.
Oh, jeez.
So you know how this is Harrison approved? The first discard.
Oh, the San. Of course. Useless in the hand. Don't want it. 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku. We'll pick around. We'll feel it out. And then the Rishi just to go. We need points. We gotta win something. Let's threat the board. Who needs to play safe for the Yakumon? Go all in.
Yukfai might have been thinking Honitsu from the start of this hand. or maybe no.
With the
No, I
same
think
thing,
it was a
Hunters
Honitsu.
come out
You draw
off.
the 2-3. And then
Yeah.
just plays efficiency, keeps the 7-8, and just starts pairing up and says, well, okay, let's go for it, and hits the goods. And the
Hell
thing here
yeah.
is that's going to be a dealer minus 16,000. A dealer who's completely out of reach, about the only thing that's going to catch the Yakuman Sumo. And Yukify says, hey, I got one of those.
I mean, would you really run a Sananko Nomi on this? No.
Hey,
It's
you
No,
not
might.
Sananko
yeah.
Toy
You
Toy.
might.
This
getting
late I
moved
would.
around. Yeah, it's
It's
points.
not
this
Sananko
was-
Nomi. It's Sananko Toy Toy.
Not if I'm waiting north.
Right, Sananko Toy Toy.
Well, Sumo works a lot better.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the Sumo here. Speaking of, we have the
Yep.
same type of
One
situation.
more. Coming down, Michael S. Suanko yet again. This time not in Ricci, showing both sides can win. Wow, Anko of the Dora indicator too. Isn't that something?
That was the case in the last Suanko too.
Oh, I forgot to look.
Hatsu.
Yeah, it's really impressive when you draw a triplet of the Dora indicator. You start with the pair, you think, well, that's always going to be a pair in my hand, and then you happen to pick up the last. And it's a very good feeling.
Well, the other part of it is that means you know where all of them are and no one else does. So you're always, especially with the Dora, you're like, I have this 3 and this 5, and I'm just going to get the 4, and the hand just don't develop. You see the 2-3 locked on the left, you see the 2-3 cut on the right. The 4 blocks so many other hands that gives you time. We see there are only 4 draws left in this hand, and then finally hits it.
Now I do
Look, Josh.
believe. Oh, what were you gonna say?
White knuckles by the end
That
of
was
that.
well
hand.
done B3 for all these Yakuban.
Yeah, and speaking of, I think we have some clips. Don't know if they have to deal with the Yakumans, but we do have some moments to be remembered from B3. Let's check those out.
Second 8?
Well, now I think I just shove it because I don't have anything better.
Yeah.
Even here, I don't think this is a bad deal if you throw it
No.
here, and out it goes. You just really hope this doesn't do a 3 flip.
Oh, you had to say something.
Ouch! Well, that's how that hand goes from nothing to very expensive.
Wow.
The
Yeah,
classic.
so that's
Just hit
good
her
old
3.
commentator's curse. Nothing can possibly go wrong unless there's an Aura 3. Oops.
Oops.
I
Why'd
mean-
you do that, Korak?
Dennis
Because
is
it
in
was
our
funny.
club, so he should just know that's how it works. If I didn't deal into Ura 3 this week, then it's Dennis's turn.
Yeah, and it was a good deal, and there wasn't a lot to go on in that hand. You just have to do the best you can, and unfortunately got maximally punished with Uda, but it happens.
Mm-hmm. And now let's go on to our second clip.
San Anko Toy Toy Honitsu. You're right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Dealer Baimon minimum?
Good 3 a lot. That's,
This is crazy.
リーチ
Oh, we're gonna see a
yeah,
chase.
yeah, we're fine here.
ポン
on
I'm
the
just
same-
sudden stuff.
Oh my goodness. Ricci Tanya Dora with a con. Certainly encouraged to try to play for his hand. 5 so is a bit of a sweat, but it passes. Dora Tonki. These players going crazy for all that caution we saw in the previous hand. They're going nuts, and that's 7.
Oh no!
It's gonna be a double room. Tessa's gonna take the Ricci sticks and 5200, but the big hand is about to be revealed here. Ricci, Saranko, Toy Toy, Honitsu. No Uda, but who needs that? 24,000 points. San Anko Toy Toy.
Ouch. Sometimes
What a huge
Doratonki not the answer.
Brutal.
Honitsu Yakupai
Absolutely.
Dortsu.
Yeah,
Desperately want to win that, but 2 players played on the 7. So, and also, like, this is Poach again. This is Yukai, who we saw win a Yakuman. We saw him win the Uda-san in the last hand. He's also got clipped in this game, winning a dealer Baimon. It seemed like getting his games streamed was definitely good fortune.
Yeah,
Hey,
opposite
I'll
of,
take the flow any way I
previous
can
run.
get it.
This is a double run that absolutely hurts so much.
Yeah, that is one that is tough on the soul. Nothing else you can really say about it.
Sometimes you get a double roan and it's like 1,000-point hand and 3,900. You're like, okay, got away with it. Let's tighten up the gameplay. But this, ugh.
Not much you can do in that spot though. You're on a Tonki. That's the value
Yeah.
Tonki.
All right, well, we are into B2 now. You can see here Sarah winning the division. Unfortunately, here a whole bunch of people over that 240 margin, but you do not get a double promotion into the A leagues. You can only reach B1. So unfortunately for Sarah, Donald, Jin Hao, and Garth. Wait, Garth, does Jen have anything to say about this?
Garth, what took him so long? Garth had a problem with showing up in some of the past seasons, so I think he finally figured out his schedule this time. And
Figured out that's what he needed to do.
yes, smashed the league.
Vinny, missing 6 games?
Oof. I mean,
Unfortunately,
you
the
know,
standings
Surprising.
reflected that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's going to get you demoted. There are possibilities to make him 180 points, but it's not likely. Overall,
He would have
for
been
this
at like
division-
0.
Yeah, it would have been slight positive. Well, I mean, you have to assume the games themselves, but
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, it would have been a slight positive. But just overall, Brian. No, hold on, I'm on the wrong thing here. Yeah, win rate at the top. So
Sarah,
well, there were a lot of
Donald,
expensive
just
hands.
going crazy.
Deal in and win value, low call rate for this division. Oliver with a super low participation rate, but did end up promoting out of this.
Mm-hmm.
We have a
And that low deal-in
7.1%
was a
deal in rate with that 27-21 deal in average. That sounds like Nathaniel approved.
That is stellar. I am so jealous. I that's like my strategy when I try to play, and I don't think I've ever gotten stats that low. That is extremely impressive.
Couple other names of note. Tucker had been just the big yo-yo in Armel. Had promoted all the way to A1, dropped down when really tragic series. I know the mental game was part of it, all the way down to
Oh,
B3,
yeah, Tucker
and
made
started
the,
to climb
was
back. This is the first
every
season
league speed
Tucker
run.
did not change. I believe the path was B1, A2, B1, A2, A1, A2, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2. Not sorry.
No, C1, then B3,
yeah.
then B2.
No, I don't think got to C1, but he did stop in B3, got back to B2, and is now going to remain in B2. Now, interestingly, and we'll get to this in a bit, was going to be in the same division as his partner, who I believe is getting married to fairly soon, so congratulations to them. But Kayla actually got a free pass in the last second. There was a hiatus that came out after the buzzer and ended up saving.
Yep. That's
Incredible.
what we always say. Like, even though it looks like you're into motion, even though it looks like can't do anything, you really never know.
I'm looking at the big scores at the top. Like, there's 4 people above 240.
But can't double promote from this league.
Yeah,
Most
I was
were
about
all
to ask
those
you. Can you
huge ones
cannot
now.
double promote into A?
That's
It
right.
seems.
Also, speaking of people that are known here, Harrison, why don't you talk about Ray? An amazing win average, but that deal-in rate is rough.
So, Ray has this problem called ADD, where she loves to do anything but focus on the game when she plays online. And I think that's reflected in this play of she plays the big hands and has the more frequent than most people, or actually, yeah, the highest frequency of deal-ins, even though, and one of the higher deal-in averages, and that's part
second
of it.
highest is 17.3. She's at 20.2.
Yeah, not enough win rate to back up those deal-in stats. I know we've seen people in the past who have that like 20%, 45 to 5K deal-in percentage, but a lot of those players who do well with that also have like insane 30%, like 6K win averages, and it's one of those things. 16.5, it just won't cut it. It's not going to be enough to make up the difference.
There's some
I feel you,
big
Ray.
EVs in here.
I think
So
there's
hard in Armel to not open up another window for me.
I think there's a number of people who have actually been somewhat outspoken about saying that it's harder for them to play online than it is in person.
Oh, that's
I feel
me.
like I feel like we need to get an online play support group just to come up with some tips and tricks to being able to maintain the same level of focus online as you would be able to do in person.
Can somebody code something that like won't allow me to open any other windows when?
Oh, I'm
just hang
sure
out?
there's a child protection plugin you can dig up.
I need this.
I've taken
See, the
to
problem with
listening.
that. Go ahead, Brett.
I've taken to listening to music during, but then my album will end in the middle of a game, and then I'm trying to find the best album to put on, and then I deal in.
Just
Somehow.
yap for 40 minutes straight. That's what I do. If you're always talking, then you're never thinking about opening up another tab. You don't breathe. You don't.
My
drink
issue is I
water,
go on my
just yap.
phone.
No, you got to put the phone up. I put mine in another
phone.
room. That's a hidden tip. The A2 tip. Take your phone, throw it across the room, throw it in another room, and just don't touch it. Get locked in on your computer.
I need somebody to guard it as well. It's not gonna be enough to just let it sit there.
A lot of low participation rates in this division. Of course, we talked about Vinny, but even there, Oliver sitting 40.5, and the call rate for this division was incredibly low, 30.3%. That's kind of what you'd expect from a more experienced league, but the Armel meta has always been just step on the gas, don't let people win, call, shut down dangerous hands. But this division definitely built some of those hands. You can see the reach rate there, a full percent over every other league's average.
This doesn't mean anything, but there's a pattern of low, high for the call rate going down this sheet.
Just alternating all up and down. That's actually quite impressive. They managed to do this. I wonder if it was coordinated.
Well, there are a couple of things here that are coordinated, and much more so than in other divisions. You know what? Winning a lot of hands is strongly related to finishing well, and not dealing in is also pretty strongly related. It's been interesting, but in the other division, it hasn't been nearly this strong. Usually, this is kind of the spread we expect to see, but it's B3 and C1. It's just been kind of wild. You'll have people with 23% win rates and 12% deal-in rate sitting there at minus 50. But here, it's pretty strongly correlated.
The only one I really look at as an outlier is Edwards' 11 second places, but he's sitting in 12th.
Isn't Edward a really good tournament player?
Yeah, that's actually a bit of a surprise for me to see Edward here at minus 71, despite 11 second places. Edward, I faced him in the finals of the Chicago Open recently. He won first place overall and has done very well in the tournament circuit this year. A player who is quite strong, but the season didn't quite work out for them. Maybe some of those second places ended up being negative seconds.
So many high scores at the top too. It wouldn't surprise me if Edward happened to take just a really big fourth along the way. Like those huge points at the top. Yes, there's a couple to balance them out at the bottom of B2, but I mean they got to come from somewhere, right?
Well, part of the thing is, especially if you're a tournament specialist, you're going to fight a lot more. And if you're losing those fights, you will get hit.
Yeah.
Especially at a tournament like Chicago where the UMA is 30-10. Like, you have to get first place to succeed in that tournament.
Right. And in a league, you don't necessarily need the first place, although those certainly help. And it turns out in this division, you really did in this case. And so if your first places were turning to second places, like in the case for Edward, you're falling a little bit short this time around. But he will be staying in B2 one more time, and we'll have another opportunity to turn those seconds into first and promote next season.
Couple just generally well-known names, Sarah and Hanley getting those promotions. Pretty well-known players that have been around for a long time.
I'm kind of surprised
Just one more
actually
comment on
at
Edward.
Call rate.
Yeah, go ahead as well.
All right. I just one more comment on Edward is like he has one of the highest participation rates in this B2 league, and also just a couple seasons ago he was at the very bottom of B2 trying to climb his way up in the last 4 games to get out of demotion zone. Like he was last. So I think you guys are very accurate in his depiction of a tournament style player for sure.
Jen, you were saying something about a call rate?
I'm Like, I mean, Garth is largely a Dama player, not Dama, but like Reach player, and so his call rate is quite high, in my opinion, for this season. So I wonder if he was trying some new things.
And also the lowest Ricci rate of the division.
That's really surprising to me because when I play with Garth, every freaking hand is a reach.
I mean,
Yeah, you
that's
expect the Zhen Hao with the
balancing, right?
25% call rate, 26% Ricci rate from Garth, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Garth
I'm
did
that
have a
kind
pretty
of player.
pivotal Ricci in one of his games this season.
Well, let's see if
Yeah, I
he's-
mean, I played with him like last week, I think, in WRC League, and I mean, I hadn't played with him in a while, but yeah, my impression of him is usually that he's focused on getting to reach. So I'm wondering if he just had other hands this time, or if he's trying some new tactics, maybe.
I mean, especially after dropping out of B1, that's the thing. Sometimes you got to drop out and go, okay, let's switch things up. Let's try something new. See if that's the difference. And now let's look at some of these big hands that we got. First one coming from JT, one of the promoting players. San Baimon, Rishi Sananko, Toy Haku, Sanshoku, Doko closed, Dora 3.
Doko.
Or I guess not technically fully closed, but Jesus,
Hey,
it's
hey,
on Sansa.
Harrison.
Delete the VOD.
Yeah,
Delete the
I'm
VODs.
waiting for it. I was going
Don't
to
let
say,
him
who
see
wants
it.
to say it?
Don't let him see it.
Sanzo!
Someone wipe it.
Sanako and Doko in the same hand is awesome.
That is
What a
crazy.
great feeling.
Yeah, this could have been a
Rare-
Suwanko actually if the draws went just a little different.
Yeah, and the other thing is, this isn't the only hand that wins.
Oh yeah, you're right. This was a double run from
Oh.
the player to the left too.
Didn't even see that second hand down over there.
Feel-
Yeah, ignore the
very bad
dealer
for
Ricci.
Toyman.
Always a good idea.
Ugh.
I mean, they
Unfortunately,
managed just on the wrong time.
everyone was Ricci at this table,
Wow.
except
They
for the
just
player on
started
the right.
1-2. What were the chances it was 3?
It's
I
caught.
mean,
Looks
who would
like-
wait on a 3 Dora other than everyone I know?
Looks like
Maybe everyone
JT
except
reached
Quark.
first.
That's true. Got chased.
And we got one more. We have another Kokushi from Zhen Hao. With oh wow, that's a beautiful.
Oh, that's a
high five
lot.
for it, isn't it? What is that?
Just
Only 2 away.
Casual turn 9 sumo. Of course, we do not play with, Tenno does not have the rules in order to WRC of the double Yakuman 13 sided, so you just take it.
Yeah.
Boring.
No.
310.
Double sided. No, double sided Kokushi's bad for a double Yakuman. You have to
That's
trust.
somehow
It's bad.
The winner of the ladder award last season had a very good run. No fourth places. Had a few this time around, but still had a very comfortable promotion. So congratulations to him.
Harrison, someone in chat said your own volume was too low.
Something
Oh
that
my
actually I don't
goodness.
think has been said in the history of life.
Yeah, they might need to just refresh the stream. That doesn't seem alright. Something must be up
I've
there.
been thinking you're at the same level as everyone else.
Anyway, yeah,
What?
just sumo. I say it all the time. If you draw your tiles, the game is remarkably easier.
It's the only winning strategy. And
They say
with
just sumo.
that,
Just win hands. How hard could it possibly be?
the easiest thing and yet the hardest at the same time. But speaking of winning hands, let's take a look at our, I believe,
Harrison, we
singular
have three-
B2 clip.
You might need a little help to win.
Agreeing that you're low.
Technical difficulties. Let's see.
We'll
If we
just
get that. There we
Ricci,
go.
Really good fill.
Tsunami. And there
Well,
are 7
yeah.
walls, so this should end the game.
Yeah, unless it's like Garth guy just miraculously gets the 10-point pots him.
Well,
Oh.
that's half of it.
Wait! I did not curse him.
Don't. You cursed him! We'll just Ricci.
Really good fill.
Tsunami.
Wow, what a apparently this is season of the Ura 3s and the mic peaks. Glad I was a little quiet, just baiting you
There-
guys
there-
to turn up your volume.
Oh my god.
That was
this-
another commentator curse
jeez.
situation.
This is classic.
There's nothing you could do about it. And with where Tucker is in this position, we ended up seeing Tucker ended up the season, a -60? And this is a big part of why. Just in a pretty good position, just wants to end the game, has this Richie Nomi, and what's the worst that could happen? Well, this qualifies.
Oh
Yeah, ran into a
man.
Garth wrecking ball.
Yeah, is this why
The-
Garth promoted? Is this the hand that did it?
It really is. I think
plus $1 million.
talking to Tucker after the series ended, he was in good position. Garth was, climbing, but Tucker was feeling comfortable, and all of a sudden after the series, he just couldn't get anything to go his way. And of course, Garth got a little help here from Stanley to hit Ipatsuron with Urasan, and that just told the story right there.
Yeah, we can see Garth out in front and just taking absolute control of the division here.
That commentary was gold. Korek just screaming at Stanley that you cursed.
Was I
Cursed
wrong?
Tucker here.
Was I wrong?
Stanley yelling,
No.
Fantastic.
And with that, I believe that brings us to the final B League, B1.
All right.
Oh,
Well, this
no.
is kind of the division
Oh,
of
that's-
Brian
okay.
off the win at NAO and a confirmed WRC seat is showing why he won here at Arbol. 29.2% win rate, 11% dealing rate, plus 360.8.
What
He's
is
dominating every single statistic.
What is the
Absolutely
biggest
insane.
score we've had at the end of
I
a
think
season?
we had a
I think there was a
390.
380, yeah, or 390. That
It's
sounds
391 and a
Maybe a
392
B1 too.
point X were scored. Brian was in contention to actually hit that mark, but he took like a -17 third place in his final game. But with a first place, would have overcome that mark and set
I
top
mean,
spot.
this is an average plus 15. That's nuts.
I mean, if the thing I want to point out too is if you look at a lot of the names in B1 for this season, this was not a slacker B1 season. I don't know if it's the hardest we've ever gotten, but it is. There are some.
No,
big
there are a
players
few
in
that
there.
have been in A1 here. There are a
Yeah.
bunch of very recognizable names.
Kate, who's
And then
been
we talked about it earlier, but
scorching
Kayla did demote, but there was a
But-
last-second hiatus where there was some scrambling and ended up saving Kayla in B1. You note there are only 2 demotions. Because there were so few people promoting from B2, it ended up saving a couple people here as well. Another stat jumps out at me. Ryan with the 51.7% call rate and 9.4% reaching rate.
Oof.
Right.
Extremely open.
That's bronze room play right there. That's how you play that. Never reach you, just call everything down.
Yeah,
I
some
think
hands-
that was Edwin had
Oh,
been
yeah.
trying to do in some previous seasons. Pulled it back a little bit this time with only 45% call rate and 13% reaching rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Edward this season was kind of sweating it at the end, got close to that relegation line, but in his last couple of Hanchons, he just had an affinity for the Pinzu, back-to-back Chinitsu and Honitsu Tsumos in the Pinzu just to get a huge victory at the end and put himself comfortably out of danger.
And the graphic is wrong on there. Haru actually also
Yes.
promoted.
Haru did benefit from that last dropout, and Haru is moved up to A2. Big shout outs to her.
Nice.
DC player. One of our
Carl
hidden bosses
has-
with Irie as well.
Carl has a 28.6% call rate. That is the second lowest. The lowest is Haru at 19.4.
Haru's a very passive kind of play your own game type player from what I've picked up. She's
Yeah, I wouldn't
fun
necessarily
just
just-
sitting back playing Menzen. Takes her
Yes.
reachies when they're good, and otherwise, hey, you're doing something big, you got it. I'll fold out. It's all good.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily describe it as passive. To me, it's very aggressive, but aggressively reachy. Haru
Yeah.
likes to build big hands and fight for them. Actually, Haru mid-season was up near the top of the division, at least around 100 points. And in the final session, just had a really rough go of things, dropped almost negative, but stayed alive at +1, stayed positive, and that was what did it. That's what allowed Haru to promote. And so that's
Yep.
a good note for the players who are going to be picking things up back in the fall. As long as you're positive, there is a chance to promote, even up to Division B1, where you'd expect fewer bonus promotion spots. Typically, there are only 5. It went all the way down to placement 9. So as long as you're positive, you have yourself a chance.
Okay,
Also,
so
something
we
key
mentioned
to note
Irie,
here.
and I gotta ask
Sorry.
Harrison. I cannot figure out Irie's playstyle. Do you have any insight?
Oh, yes. I actually, so, hidden fun fact, if I had to pick one player who is probably the literal absolute worst player for me to go against, it would definitely be Irie. Here's the Irie method. Literally just hit everything and it works. I know. Very revolutionary. Don't get me wrong. Irie is a very solid player. She's also kind of a cultic. She taught Dustin, so anytime you think about Dustin, you can thank her for that. And again, she just, at least every time I play her, she just hits. It just works. Irie just goes out, and it's crazy. Past
I have
that,
the
I'd
exact
say
same experience as
aggressive, and again, very value based. I don't see Irie take smaller hands very much.
Another person she taught is actually the person who is also promoting with her, which is her girlfriend, Kate. Yeah, who is not a very occult player, which is I find very interesting.
Kate has had a lot of success this year, not only online promoting nearly every season, but also in person as well, finishing in the top group at R&O, the massive 200-plus player tournament, and good results in a number of other in-person tournaments as well, though Irie also recently picked up some points at the Chicago Open.
They both had 7 first, 5 seconds, 7 third, 5 fourth.
Yeah,
they're
separated
by
quite
70
twinning
points.
out. That is really interesting how the same placements can split that much. Which again, there's also negative seconds and positive thirds. You never know.
Yeah.
Like Kate could have gotten more positive thirds than Irie, but still very, very interesting.
So this division, there was this big gap after Kate, where there was just big drops of 70 points and then 40 points. But generally, it was the stats kind of match what you would expect. People who are winning a lot and not dealing in are doing really well. Brian, of course, already talked about. Ricky with that 30% win rate. Jinlong, just solid play all over. Michael X, low dealing rate, high win rate. Again, this is what you expect to happen. Blake, solid play all around. Kate, solid play all around. This is what is supposed to happen in Mahjong. This is what the math tells you that happens. Sometimes, though, the flow just takes over.
And look, there's Edwin.
Safe once again in B1, although I believe Edwin will be going on hiatus for the next season, taking a well-deserved break after 3 years of running Armel. Will he be able to run without playing?
Yeah, I mean, I bring him up just to, that's our league founder. That's
the GOAT.
Incredible thing that we're all given all this time to. This wouldn't have happened without him.
And now let's take a look at our big hand of B1. Another Yakuman. If Mr. Showrunner, me, can get past these little technical hangups. Bam! Kevin D with the Dai Sangen.
This is the situation of, they don't have it. There's no way they have it.
I actually, I learned this one. This, I believe, is 15%, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere from 8 to 15%. If they've called 2 and you drop the third, that they're able to call it. Not win, but call it in general.
Well, it's definitely going to be Tempai here with 3 and then an East and a 1-so cut.
Especially
so
with
I think it's actually
before.
higher than that.
Yeah.
But regardless of any of that, you're at 72,000. Don't throw it for the love of God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can swag out on people. Giving the Yakuai to dealer is that's a bit of anti-aura.
You don't need points.
Why?
It's a dealer Yakuman as well. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Eat the tile.
Oh, this is just sadness. Congratulations to Kevin. You set yourself for Tempai. You got your chance. But at the same time, this deal, it hurts.
We might be able to hear some live reaction about this a little bit later.
Oh,
There's also
okay.
Tadashi.
Yeah, we might be seeing it. Maybe they had a pair and said that's even lower than the 15 or 8% than what it is. Surely it doesn't deal in. Okay.
Also, they drew 2 of the tunes because they started with none of them.
Impressive.
Well, let's
Very impressive.
take a look, because I do believe we have, again, live reactions of what in the heck could have possibly been going on during this game.
There it is.
Oh my goodness, Christian.
Okay.
Surely you don't allow this. There's the Haku.
There's the white. All right.
Oh my.
Okay, both greens are in hand.
Oh no!
Oh! Oh!
Oh, it's his dealer!
Oh, it come out.
It's the Dythungan for Dutch! And all of a sudden we have a new leader.
Wow, what a misread there. Didn't think they had it, but they there it is.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So clearly,
And this ended up costing Christian the promotion because this is 48 directly and position. Christian probably would have been positive except for this one.
Yep.
And you just can't go on autopilot like this.
Christian
Dyson
clearly hope the Venmo payment of whatever from Kevin D was worth it.
Yeah, it was. What are the odds? You have 2 dragons that they're going to call them
Yep.
both back to back.
On top of another
seems
call
unlikely.
before, and also still have the Hatsu, like, in the back of the
should be
hand.
3 Han. Don't at me.
Okay, that's a take.
Kevin, Kevin.
Well, okay,
never-
so remember, there actually was a bug where that was a real thing in Mahjong Soul for a while.
Oh, I
3
forgot
Han on
about
top
that.
of the 3 Han
Yeah.
that gets you.
Yeah, I forgot
I think-
about the whole. We'll just
This is
Yakuai
a
through.
great situation of they just don't have it. There's
Yep.
no possible.
What are
It's
the
only 9
odds?
tiles.
Like-
It's not that hard. Every other Yakuman is 13 tiles. Daisangan's overvalued.
It feels like the worst misclick ever. Totally.
That's true.
Well, no,
Amon
I
wouldn't have
think
dealt
I don't
that.
think there's
I
a
think
misclick.
it's
I think
just
this is
a
just not thinking about
Brain
the hand.
off moment.
We were talking
Yeah,
about
well, I
people.
mean,
hey,
like-
I'm on my phone, and that
Yeah,
looks like
that
you
is
play
true.
if you were on your phone and not paying
Mm.
attention to the game.
Yes.
Christian's a good enough player not to make that play.
That's
Well,
when you
perhaps
look
to-
back up at the monitor, see what just happened, and just
Just,
hang
like-
your head.
Well, I mean, the
Oh, if
gong
I
will get
took
your
an extra
attention.
I mean, like, personally, if I took an extra 5 seconds to think about that, then obviously I wouldn't have done it. So, to me, that feels like essentially a misclick.
Mm.
'Cause you're just clicking.
It's like a
and not
mental
thinking.
misclick.
Yeah.
And props to Dutch though. I remember this game. He was pretty down in the game. He passed a Roan actually in the previous hand to then Sumo for enough points to overtake Carl for 3rd place, and then opened up this high pie and said, "Let's go. Let's make it a Yakima." He came all the way
Yeah.
back for first.
The other end of this is this pulls Kevin out of danger of demotion, ends up at minus 116.5 at the end of the season. If you don't get that dealer Yakuman and take 4th there, that's what? Going to be a minus 78? You'd be right down there with Ryan.
Okay, and now without further ado, it looks like it is time to climb
No.
up the ladder to the A leagues.
No, we did not
So-
climb up the ladder.
Let's see.
Ooh.
A2. Oh, jeez. Do I gotta go first? Okay, so
Story
story of
Jen, take your pick.
yeah, story of A2. I don't know if Jen had the same experience, but it felt like every flow player under the sun collected in one spot, and Rachel sacrificed all of her flow as a flow player, and I believe demoted, and that meant people like Amy a little bit, people like Christine could just pop off insanely and absolutely, and Stanley, because Stanley was throwing and then lucked back out into getting promoted again, but whole separate issue.
Absolutely
That's
no
a
salt at all
classic
here.
Stanley moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what happened to Stanley. Stanley said, I'm fine, I'm
Yep.
promoting. I'd have to completely bozo it up. That would definitely be his choice of words, too. And then he just stopped caring. And then all of a sudden he fell out of promotion range and was absolutely panicked. It was hilarious.
I can't
I'm
believe my
pretty sure
dealing rate is
Stanley-
so low.
I'm telling you, this season I think is the people at the top, did they have their huge giant games when you were at the table? Because that's how I felt at minus 31, that my season, all things considered, weren't that bad. Like, I think I had 3 or 4 positive thirds, even though I have more thirds than anything else. It was just so many people had like 70 or 80K games on my table, and you can only do so much in that situation. Like,
Well, the
someone's
top
got to
six
eat the
just
points
stole-
for those.
The top 6 just stole all the points from
Exactly.
this division.
Yeah.
When
Over
7th is a
100
promotion
point
spot at
difference.
28.6. And there are others. There have been seasons where 120 didn't make it out of A2.
Yeah.
This season was really interesting due to the number of hiatus situations that happened out of A1, and also the number of people who promoted that also went straight into hiatus. But at the end of the season, like, the standings did not look like this. Everyone was fighting around 150, 160. I think Christine was at the highest for a while at like 170. But then players in their final session just had amazing results. Bishen, in his final session, I think had 3 firsts in the second place, including a Rinshan Yakuman, Rinshan Suwanko, I believe.
Yeah,
It was an
catapulted him to the
insane
top.
hand.
And
Sean
David,
Sua.
in his final series, had a number of crazy monster wins. I think the first game of the series started out with him getting 5th turn Tempai for Dama dealer Junchan Sanchoku Dora. And then in the 4th game, he was 5th turn Tempai for Dama Sanchoku Chanta Dora on a Tanki. Absolutely what you want to see when you're fighting for promotion. And David capitalized on those hands and ended up finishing up at the top.
Christine and David both double-digit first places. That's something you don't see that often when you only have 24 games to play. 1/4 for David, so 4th avoidance player, absolutely.
Or
Oh,
rather,
sorry,
yeah.
that was a
1/3.
third.
Third
Each
avoidance for
Bishen
most
was
of the series.
1/4.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
a Bishen.
Bishen with the
That
4th
makes sense.
avoidance there.
Yeah.
Not quite enough for the ladder ward, but very solid play there. There's another play that ended up not mattering, but it was an amazing pull by Claire in her last game. She knew she had to stay above Kenyon to survive. The only way that one of them wasn't demoting is if Nathan just took a big hit in the series and had needed 5200 sumo and had a choice of a 6-9 Sanshoku guaranteed for E10 or a 3-6-9 where the 9 wasn't enough without Ura. Took the 3-6-9 and drew the 3 to steal the point and jump over Kenyon in the last game.
Oh, I so wish we had a clip of that. It was such a pivotal moment, an impressive move.
Korak didn't say that the whole reason Claire got that far was she was beating me up, and then I happened to Dama Baimon Claire while she was in Ricci and put her down to a almost emoting spot. And then she was able to come back, so everything's good. I also didn't Ricci because I couldn't read my Chinitsu. I know. Miss San Baimon would have been Kazue. It's fine. Everything works out.
I'm still not over Kenyon hitting me with the double reach Hanemon at the tournament in Chicago.
Oh, you haven't played against
hard.
Kenyon enough.
Yeah.
Kenyon does that. That's a Kenyon hand through and through.
Yeah,
Kenyon
the
double
Swords
reaches
division's-
your beta Ori as best as you can.
The Swords division is basically what you'd expect. Just win hands. With the
Yeah.
exception of Nathan, everyone with high win rates did great, and everyone with not so great win rates did pretty badly. Daniel and Harrison did okay here because they managed to limit some of their deal in amounts. But overall,
win
just
enough.
Amy being Amy. And that's not even the highest float up player in this division. That's what's crazy, is when
Yeah.
Amy is at her peak and it's not even the first place.
Insane A2 division like it is literally every season somehow. Always
Honestly,
something wacky.
It felt like a
Steve.
terrible season for me. Like, I can't believe my dealing rate is only 13.8 because I swear, maybe the first game, I think I dealt in 4 of the first 5 hands, and it felt like every game was like that. Just going, my mouse was a magnet.
You drew the deal-in tiles every round. You just started noticing that and folding more. So you're getting sumo bled the same.
I was
Me and
getting
you
slowed
both.
as well, but I felt like my mouse was a magnet that just was attracted to the deal-in tile.
There are a lot of people in this division with these really low call rates. Jen, of course, with the 17.2%. Nathan,
Jeez.
sub 20 as well. Riley, just above 20. This is a very restrained division.
Yeah,
but
what are you guys
also, when you
doing?
have that, you expect a higher Ricci rate, and they were lower than Ricci average too.
I didn't get Tenpai.
I didn't
Well,
get
you know what
Tenpai
this tells
either.
me?
That's why I called.
Is it tells me people like Bishan and Stanley had good seasons. Bishan, Stanley, and Steve had good seasons.
Yep.
Because they're all notorious for getting stupid hands and then just dominating them and moving on.
Yeah, it just
Someone
goes to
must
show-
be reaching there.
You're not always going to get an amazing season. Sometimes you get absolutely everything, as it looks like some of the players at the top did. Sometimes some seasons you're not, and I do expect even super strong players in A2 and we'll see in A1 as well. You're going to demote eventually. It's just mathematically going to happen due to the volatility of the game in a 24-game season, and so it's not too surprising when you get on the unlucky side of things and end up with a demotion, but come back strong next season, and don't let that shake your confidence.
A thought occurs. If there's an A2 with Jen demoting and a B2 with Garth promoting, wait, doesn't that mean you two are going to be the same division again?
Yeah.
Oh, you might be able to schedule at a decent time for once.
It's been a while since we were in the same division, but yeah, we did start in the same division, and maybe the
I think the
season
season
after that. I
after,
think
yeah.
after that, yeah.
We'll look
And then
forward
after
to
that, we haven't. So
hopefully, we'll look forward to the pairings in a minute, and we'll get to see you two playing each other. We'll have to put that on the calendar.
All right, well, I think we have some fancy hands.
Yep, we definitely got a big hand. I think just one, although we have clips of a couple fun moments for sure. First, and this is the wrong hand, let's do that noise. Bam! Suwanko. Hit by Bishan, of course. And I don't have any way to prove it, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the Rinchan Sumo.
Suwanko.
Yeah,
Yes.
Rinchan Suwanko.
Just
Don't know if you
locking
can,
up
but yeah.
a promotion into back into A1 once again.
God, look
Like,
at how many sticks on the
sometimes,
table too.
it's just
Jesus.
not in the wall. Why don't we steal it from the dead wall and see what happens? And you can see already in first place, and this was a huge set of points. You can see here, there's 29 in the middle. You just pulled another 32,000 and knocked everyone under 30K. This is a huge win for Beacon here in South 3.
Rinchan aside, this High has 2 pairs.
This
Not-
high
Yeah,
is
but
Oh,
that's
not
honestly
Bishan
how
at all.
reached
really
this
feels.
too. I didn't even notice that. I would not have.
He
expected
chased.
Bishan. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I think he chased. I don't remember when the 3 pin came out, but it looks like he chased.
Yeah.
And there's no reason whatsoever to Dama this if you're going to be fighting. But yeah, huge win there for Bishan.
I mean, it's South 3 and you have a lead.
So, I like points. Do you like points?
Yeah.
I guarantee you,
I mean,
Brett will
it's
never
not-
complain about a Yakuman.
I think you can argue if your weight is something like Gembutsu or even Suji to the reach player, but it's not in this case. Not when he reached. So
I want a Yakuman.
Well, you can always fish for them. And speaking of not exactly Yakumans, but clips, we got a whole plethora of them. I think we got 3 from the A2 division
That's not the
this
number I expected
season.
to hear.
Something.
Plethora.
Listen, that's a lot for one season. So let's go ahead and let's take
Wonderful
a
word.
look.
Yeah, the official definition of 3 is few, I think.
Ah, that's okay. No one knows
Yes.
English
Oh.
well. in these
Several.
I'm pretty
commentaries.
sure the definition of 3 is pwn.
Fast-paced game so far. Oh, excuse me.
Several is.
There was a
3 to
double
7, I
reach.
believe.
As we were switching
Or is that
screens,
or is few 3 to
positions,
7?
Steve double reaching on Pei
few is
Tonki.
3. A couple is 2. A
Penetrance
few is
between
3.
8
And
the
for
Pei.
me, 4 or more is several. And when people say several and it's only
well, just
3,
like
I
that,
get
we're in
really...
South too. Wow.
It's like saying plethora to me.
Hey, we're talking over
playing.
because you don't even need to hear the commentator.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting. You don't need any audio. Just the double reachy on Paytaki. I love it because of the Paytaki, and I hate it because it's Cheetoy.
Okay, so to be fair, I think the stat is it's like a 50% chance on a double reachy. It's a cheat toy. To be fair,
Really?
No, it's
Something
not that
crazy.
high.
It's
It's
a
higher. I
lot.
think it's
Pretty
like
good the other way.
25.
No, I think it's
But-
higher than that. It's something absurd. But also, it's insane that Steve gets it on the North.
My
Steve,
favorite
to
part
be
of this
fair, has
clip-
had a ton of bad seasons in a row, though. Or he's had some bad
Yeah,
hits
There's
in the
also
past.
Q dealing in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Steve
well-
had been in A1 for a long time, and then crash and burn in one of the most glorious immolations of all time. Deals in a triple Roan Sanzo and turns around and wins Richinomi Open.
Glorious. And now he's back in A1. But my favorite part of this clip is that we don't even get to see the Ricci. We're swapping perspectives. The next thing we know, the pay comes out as a deal. And excuse me?
And you can see from the overall standing, it was just that type of season for Q. It didn't work out.
Yeah, he's taking a hiatus now, and this has got to be contributing to that.
This is just emotional damage. There's nothing you can do about it. This is very much an I hate this game type deal in.
Yeah. Now let's get over to our second clip. Take a look at that one.
Making the K10 play. I mean, you can actually win the hand if you call the Hatsu. But it doesn't like the one pin. Maybe the lower Pinzu looks bad enough against Garrick. But it is cleared by Garrick.
And now she's kicking herself. The one pin was safe?
Oh!
Oh, but Garrick Simo's on the last five, though!
Last five, so last draw. Itsu. Dora 3. Making the...
See, if that were
Sumo,
Chanta
hide,
instead of
hey, Dora,
Itsu,
three.
if there was Chanta instead of Itsu, that would be the most Garrett clip of all time.
Yeah, that is true.
He does it with Itsu too. I guarantee this.
Oh yeah.
This was Isabel. You and I were doing commentary, and this whole series is crazy. If you look at the standings in the right, Christine is up in second place. Garrick's right behind, and these players were really going at it all series long.
Oh yeah.
Amy's down in 20th.
Yeah, look at where Amy is. Dead last in the division with minus 86.6. This is Amy, who ended up promoting, I believe, in third place overall.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a small score; it was like 240.
Yeah, Amy's after the had a bit of a rough go in the early portion of the series, but after that, absolutely dominant.
213.9.
Well, Garrick, Amy, and Christine all ended up promoting, so 3 out of 4, and then Kenyon barely saved it, but is not demoting in this.
Yeah,
round.
actually, there was a hiatus late by Garrick. Andre fell below Garrick because he missed a game, and only because Garrick won a hiatus this season did Andre get a pass.
And we still have one more clip through A2. Let's check that one out.
Oh, preferably the 4 though for Tonyo. Or the 7. This weight is insanely wide. Do you know what this weight is?
Each.
I should have turned the weights off. It's like a double gentleman.
I was saying, like,
he
the
bought
8 deals.
sumo!
Oh, he bought sumo. I was like, wow.
The 3658 Uda
Oh!
timer. Oh my goodness, we are witnessing something pretty miraculous here from Daniel. 79,500 is just South 1.
All right, Chase, I need that stat now.
Way up by.
So what is the weight there, Nathan?
We have our three-sided
3658.
3658.
Yep.
Right.
I love a
What it looked
four-sided
like
weight.
to me.
You know, I think after this clip, I figured out I just need to hit Ura 3 Epod Sumos more. I think that's why I didn't
Yep.
promote, so that's going to be my strategy this season. Just hit Ura 3 literally all the time, apparently.
So it's just the 4-5 shape waiting on 3-6, and then that 6-7-7-7 waiting on.
Yep.
5, 6.
That's it.
Smush those
Wow.
together. If you get an 8 on it, I think it's a bit more interesting than that, but with just that shape, like if the 7 mon's like a pair or something goofy.
And this
Yeah,
game
so-
really gave Daniel a lot of hope to get a promotion this season, but with the way the rest of the table went at the final session, ended up falling just a little bit short this season.
Yeah.
But very well played by Daniel this season. I think this is his first time in A2, and he comfortably stayed in the division, so he'll have another chance this season.
All right. Well, is that the last clip? I think
Yep.
we're gonna head to A1.
Yep,
Alright,
now
Quark, your time
time
to
to
shine.
see.
Okay, as I said, going into this season, there were
Wow.
two main storylines. One, there were so many Snake Shack players that had snuck into A1. Viet had been there for a while, but Barry got up there. We had Will, Matthew. So 5 of the 20 players in A1 could be considered Snake Shack players. And so the question is, how would they do?
Mhm.
And the answer
You don't
was
count
they were
Lucas
pretty
as a
polarized.
snake?
Yes, Lucas being the last one.
Yep.
So the question is, how would they do? And the answer is, well, it's decidedly mixed. So Matthew ended up winning the division overall, and you can see there with the 24.3% win rate, 10.1% deal-in rate, just had enough sumos to pull it off. Very passive play with only the 26.8% call rate, 22.8% reach rate. On the other end, we had both Barry and Viet ended up demoting. So this was a storyline in and of itself. Is getting to the last session, we have the snake ladder. And boy, it was a snake ladder this time, because 4 Snake Shack players ended up at the final table. Matthew, Will, Viet, and Barry all at the same table.
Jeez.
Oh my
That's
god.
like a nightmare mahjong table for me.
I wish I
No
had a
one's dealing
screenshot
in.
of the standings at the time that they played their games as well, because I was the first person in the safe zone, and there were 2 players, Viet and Barry, right below me, less than 1 point away from surpassing me and escaping the relegation zone. And they had, my games were all finished, and so they had the full knowledge of the cut. And it was going to be an incredibly tense series with the an entire Snake Shack table, 4 players who know exactly what they need to do to meet their condition. And I'm sure it was incredibly fought, but I could not bear to watch the series myself.
Need to appreciate the chaos more.
Well, I was similarly just sitting there waiting because I had finished my games. I had a plus 90 in my final session to try and go for the championship. I actually overtook Matthew going into the final session, but it was only by, I believe, 1.9 or 2, somewhere around there. So Matthew just needed a positive result over the course of the 4 games, but against those 3 players, that is not an easy task, and Matthew did end up getting enough here to sneak out with the win. And I'm looking at my stats and I'm going, if that's not enough to win A1, how am I ever doing this?
The answer is you aren't.
27.6% win rate, 9% deal-in rate, highest EV in the league, hyper-aggressive, hyper-reachy. This is, I have the reputation of a reachy heavy player, but if you look at my Arbol stats, it's not really true. It's more I just hate Dama. But just active every single hand, fighting every single hand, and it's just not enough.
Did you ever think about,
you have
instead
the
of getting
highest
that 6th third, getting a 9th first? Because that's what Matthew did, and he got over you. So I think that's what you need to clean up next season.
Well, see, I've tried that, but I didn't have the last game.
That might work.
Okay.
Uses.
The variance in the scores is strikingly lower than the other leagues.
I'm surprised
Yeah, you
there's
had
this much variance for A1.
Going
Normally
into
it's
the
much
last
tighter.
session, it was basically a 3-person race for the title, and then Everode was just terrified of the demotion line.
Yeah.
It was not at minus 78. It was much higher than that. It was like
80,
minus
I think.
40, I think.
Or yeah.
The 5th session, all the players who had been below 100 points had excellent sessions. By the time we got to session 6, there was only 1 player at minus 100 or slightly below minus 100. It was the closest I believe A1 has been going to the last session since probably the very
first season of A1, which was the most cursed season of all time. Even mentioning it gives those of us that were in it trauma.
Yeah, an incredibly close session 6, and I've got to give some props to a lot of the players that fought really hard to escape. Lucas was right on the cut line. He managed to move up. Will as well. Had to sweat a little bit, but he did quite well in that final series and actually finished 5th place overall. Alfred was in the table with me and Clinton as well, and I got to give massive props to Clinton, who was one of the players at the negative 100 mark and had it incredibly impressive, not only session 5, but also session 6, coming back from the very bottom of the relegation zone to a very comfortable minus 39.2 to stay in A1 a second season.
I believe Kaz, this is the 4th appearance in A1 and the 4th demotion out of A1.
Oh,
so
he'll be back.
Yeah, that is someone who eventually is going to crack that ceiling, but this was not the season. And again, with everyone at this big budget, someone had to get booted down. The big surprise to me is, of course, Barry. That this is someone who was, I believe, former 8-Dan, very solid, by-the-book player, and you see the results here, 4, 5, 6, 9, not really what you'd expect, but the 16% DR, a much more aggressive player than I'd expected.
Yeah, Barry had seen a lot of success from when he first joined the league, promoting, I believe, all the way into A1. And it was a bit of a struggle this time around. He had a lot of very close games that just ended up one placement lower than he was hoping for. A second turns into a third place turns into fourth, in all last. It was a very difficult end of the season, and but those things are going to happen. Barry's still an incredibly strong player, and I'm sure we'll see him back in A1 in the very near future.
And speaking of demotions, there are 2 other names that were genuine shocks when the final results came in. So let's go up the list. Viet, another Snake Shack player. Like, writes basically all the English language documentation for Naga, and Mortal has more knowledge than anyone else I know about the workings of the AI. Just hard studies, but has spent a lot of his time more recently working on his other hobbies, particularly Super Smash Brothers. I know he's big on, but regardless, you see the results here: 20% win rate, 12.5% DL rate. That should be plenty, even in A1, and he just wasn't. The big thing here is that Ricci rate. I can't get around that. Even in A1, at some point, you're going to have to throw the stick in, but it worked for Peter. Peter survived with that 14.1, but it didn't work out for Viet.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's probably just not getting to Tenpai because I was watching some of his games early on, and I noted how frequently he would declare an early Ricci and win. I was like, wow, that's bad weight, but, just willing to, take the attempt, and it just wins. And I feel like he's a pretty Ricci heavy player, but Tao's probably not going his way this time around.
There's a big difference in average between Peter and Viet with the low Ricci calls. Like, Peter's reaching on big hands.
Yeah, Peter absolutely ate me up this season. I played him in session 1, and I just could not stop dealing into the Takame for Sanshoku. But the first hand, the very first game I played, I dealt into his Ricci, Tanyao, Pinhu, Sanshoku, Urasan, or Baimon.
Average win value over 6,000. The next highest is Kaz there in last place at 5,600. So Peter just had the value. You look at the win minus steal at rate, and you're like, I don't care. 0.3% good enough for me.
There's
actually
also
the lowest
to
EV
know-
in the entire division as well. Something that's new this season is A1 had a lower EV than the league as a whole. This very rarely happens. It may be the first time ever.
Yeah, jeez. Normally it's like
Two
what,
of the
at
lowest
least
Ricci
50, 60 over it minimum?
Well, the other
Lowest
part
is
here
at the
is
bottom of the page.
Well, the other part of this is something that's been different this season, I think because of the influx of the Snake Shack players, is the call rate went significantly down. This is below league average. In other seasons, A1 has been 37, 39% occasionally. Just hyper aggression. And it was definitely pulled back a bit this time. Keeper hand wins. That's another thing that you don't really think about. But if everyone's just trying to shut down a lot of danger, that the 5,100 win average pairs compared to the league average of 5,216 is noticeable. It's not huge, but it's definitely noticeable. But just overall, the standard thing we've seen in so many of these divisions, you have to win hands. Deal in rate helps you to not demote, but you have to actually win hands to be challenging for the leads.
Korak Will is in chat demanding a 50% call rate from you this season.
I will try.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
you
win
reached
rate,
it too much. Should have went
I
open.
think it must be pointed out the winner for win rate this season is definitely Joe, 28%, and that's down in the last series. He was pretty comfortable, not close enough to promote, so didn't end up winning as many hands as he had previous sessions in the league. But 28% with a 22% deal, and it's a playstyle that I cannot understand, but he makes it work. Joe has made this work for his entire run A1, has maintained his A1 position ever since joining with a hyper-aggressive playstyle, and finishing positive this season.
Just win hands. Joe's definitely done it season after season. And every season, we look at the log, he can't keep getting away with it, and he does.
I mean,
But
it
then we
doesn't
missed one person we haven't talked about. The last demotion here. I said at the start of this broadcast there were 3 stories: the double promotions, the Snake Shackers in A1, and the 10th season of A1. Would anyone make it? And Max did not. Was sweating it out. Actually didn't have to sweat out the final situation, but had a rough final table, dropping down quite a bit. Nathaniel was also sweating at the time, but the thing is, they did not get to see the games that would determine their fate because they were at the Chicago final table.
We were playing each other at Chicago as the final table of A1 was being played. Our fate was being determined. We could not watch. And unfortunately, somebody reminded me that my fate was being determined right before the game started. I'm like, please.
No.
Oh my God, who did that?
Trust me, I very quickly forgot about that because that was an intense final.
Oh, yeah.
And,
that person had money on the final.
Yeah, he side bet
updates
Max.
in Discord as the game
Max
went
actually
on.
had a really rough start of the season. Just was playing very well, and it wasn't working. Nothing was going his way. It was getting the bad end of everything. But had a nice run at the end. Was in the minus 100 area, and did actually pick up some points in the final session to make it close. It really made me sweat more than I wanted to, and he finishes games first, which is a little bit of a disadvantage, but even despite that, he usually minus 77.9 is good enough to be safe. And this season, it was just so closely contested that it just fell a little bit short. But it was a very impressive comeback from Max to even put himself in position to be safe.
So now we do this every season, where the number of people who have been in every A1 season has finally dropped to 1.
Yeah.
So I mean, that means I'm definitely demoting this season.
You're either
100%.
demoting or finally winning the league. There's no.
I've
in-between.
had
win
3
first
seconds.
and then demote.
I've had 3 seconds, a third, a fourth, and I think a 6th.
So either now that you're the
God.
only one left, finally no one else is in your way and you'll be good, or you're tanking. You're eating like a minus 300. We're seeing unprecedented A1 season.
I'm long overdue for it.
I can't.
For a demotion,
Yeah, but-
not for winning. I'm never winning. Like, forget that.
I'm trying to
But if-
resist mentioning your placement at the Chicago tournament on top of all that.
Oh yeah, I was so salty at the tournament because I actually got 5th. So I missed out of the table by 1.9 because I actually won a hand with 15 seconds left. If I'd been unsportsmanlike, sat there and sandbagged for 20 seconds for the timer to win, I would have made the final table, but I didn't do that. I took the win, and then someone Dama sumoed their expensive end, hit the Sanjaku, and knocked me down to 2nd place, and I lost the
Oof.
final table position by 1.9.
Oh, man.
But now you
Really
have
devastating.
Korak playing all these people who won their way into A1 and not the ones who started in A1, so it might be tougher in that aspect.
Well,
Tougher
we mentioned it
Yeah,
earlier,
we
but now I have to bring up everyone's trauma. The first season of A1 was a special kind of
The
hell.
beta league.
I
Oh,
have
yeah.
never seen as many high-ranked neurotic Mahjong players as that final week of A1. So there were only 16 spots at that time. So that means there were 4 demotions. The problem is someone had taken, I believe, a minus 440 roughly already going to the final session. So everyone else's position was, oh my God, what do I have to make? And the final result to get demoted out of A1, the cut line was positive 0.8.
God.
That was the
Gross.
first safe spot. The first player that demoted was minus 9.
Minus 8.7 was Dustin. Lucas's only demotion, minus 22.8.
Oh,
And on
Every
the
single
other
s-
end, people that thought they were safe were starting to sweat it out when that line just kept moving up and up and up. And we talk here about, hey, if minus 40 was scaring people. People were genuinely neurotic. It was both hilarious and terrifying at the same time.
were you at the time like, oh god, is this what ARML's just gonna be like?
It wasn't, well, it was also the
This is
first season of
A1.
A1. It wasn't that I was that way. It was that everyone was thinking it was going to be like that.
Everyone was very happy that hiatus was going to be a possibility in A1. If that was the levels of stress that was going to happen
Yeah. Again, these were good players that I've known for a long time, and it was a feeling. Regardless, though, Max does end up taking a demotion and will now take a well-earned hiatus after having put the time in here.
Mhm.
And 12 seasons in, and it takes the first break. I'm still at the grind, but I think do we have any funny hands in A1?
Oh yeah,
were-
you guys had some hits. There were some big hands, and we got some clips that may or may not go with them. Forgot to check. But and this is the wrong one. Oops, technical difficulties. Bam, there it is. San Baimon by Jonathan S. Mr. JSDF. Just casual reach Ipat Sumo, Pinfu Tanya, Sanshoku Dojun, Dora 3, Ura 2. Clearly conning works for everybody except the person who does it. Judging by all the
5
cons we've seen
Dora.
tonight.
5 Dora in a Pinfu hand.
Impressive.
I have
Like-
said it before.
What?
You con for flow, but I don't say whose flow it is.
Yeah, you hit 9mon on that, and that becomes what? A Hanemon on Ipat Sumo? Am I wrong on that? Or no, it becomes what? Like 8 Han? You lose Tanyao.
Yeah, use Tanya, use Sancho.
You lose an Ura. You lose. Or maybe you don't lose it.
That'd still be
No.
8, but yes.
Yeah, but a ton.
Get into the Sunbeam the hard way with all the Aku.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Harrison. Here's another one. Just get more Dora.
Ah, yes, I should do that more too. I actually
Oh
don't
my.
have a problem with that. I have a problem with finishing Dora hands. I love
Hey,
to have a
look.
Dora pair that never comes.
So this
Doko.
is a tragic hand because it doesn't count in our stats for Sanchoku Doko.
Damn, I should have thrown the
No.
fives back.
Doko.
I should have thrown the
Closed
fives back.
Doko.
That's crazy. Look at that. That's a beautiful one. Should have just gone for Chinroto. You got the 9s and the thing, you know. You would have been Ishanten
Yeah.
right now.
It's a beautiful hand.
It
This
is
my
very
favorite
nice.
hand.
That is
It's also
Dora
got free
3
Dora.
too. This would have been Kazuo without Suwanko, I think.
Oh my god.
What a,
There's
what a
probably
well, it was a
Dora song.
Dama, so I don't think so. But
Maybe
yeah,
not.
it
Would've
would have
been
been
damn
a
close.
big hand.
There's probably 3 Dora under there.
Yeah, there's always 3 Dora. We've seen enough screenshots today.
And then I believe we do have 2 final clips from last season. Our last 2 from summer 2024. Let's
Yippee.
check those out.
It was like fourth draw Ricci. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Oh, there it is. Well, you just
There
have
it
to
is.
con.
Power play. There it is.
That is hilarious. And Viet has to sweat one more tile. But that's not Cassidy.
Oh.
Will pass.
The door was. Ooh, we're double door now.
Yeah, I tries to make a play for it now
yeah,
with four
yeah,
Dora.
4 Dora. Yeah, they're not gonna make it. Lots of cons in this series. Lots of cons. It was like fourth draw Ricci. I mean,
And this
what are you gonna
table
do?
was extremely closely contested. This was one of the most exciting series out of A1 to watch this season. It was really fun, and a lot of very small things were happening that didn't seem too noticeable at the time, but were actually really, really cleverly played. Viet here with the early dealer Ricci waiting on the 7-pin. You know, again, trying for that Ricci. Simon ended up drawing most of the winners, and then declared Ricci of his own to chase. Drew the last 7-pin, cons it away. Says that tile's too difficult to chase. Usually you don't want to con when there's a dealer Ricci, but in this case, the defensive con paying dividends. And that wasn't the only defensive con we saw this series. I think I had a nice defensive con later as well. That we didn't get clipped, but there are a lot of plays like that this entire series that really reflected some high level of play.
I know.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have to win the hand, but if you ruin dealer's day, it goes a long way.
And now
I
let's.
raised my fist into the air when the Khan was called, and then the hand ended in a Ryukyoku. I kind of just lowered it.
Brett's
You
sad
wanted
about a
Renshan.
COD. They do situations can exist apparently.
And now let's check out our last clip of this season.
I think the only tile that's left is. There it is. Yep.
Oh my goodness. And Viet does a double take. Hey, wait a second, didn't I just drop that? The Ura as well? Or the Hanuma?
Wow. Okay. Well, that changes things. I was just about to be like, I don't think this hand's gonna go anywhere, but yeah, drew the. I think that was the last one. So I think the only tile that.
Wow.
The type of play that Matthew has shown a lot over the course of his time in A1, has won, of course, multiple divisions of A1. Willing to take the EV positive play, 3-set Arichi Furiten against, chasing Arichi, but he thinks it's worth it here. And, well, he was right. There was only one tile left for him in the wall by the end of the hand, but he found it. It was the expensive side, too. And
Really?
plays like these are what helped catapult Matthew up to the top of division, to winning another A1 division title.
The 4s and 7s were gone?
They were all held or discarded.
Oh, shit. Oh, I swore on the hype stream. I made it this far.
That's okay. That's fine. Well, we spent a lot of time in the last season, but I believe now we have to transition as the seasons change. We do too. Bam! Fall's here. Woo! Yeah, we love fall. Woo!
My
I can't
God.
wait to see these divisions, these pairings.
Oh, it is going to be insane. I mean, I'm sure we'll be talking about it later, but every season things just seem to get harder, and it never, ever changes. Like, the league just keeps getting stronger all around. And with that, too, we have something very special to talk about, and that's a beta league. We might be expanding C1. Ooh. So, for those of you who don't know, whenever we get a ton of people in the same division, i.e. usually the bottom division, like in this case C1, I think there was like 48 or something crazy, we split them into two, and it's what's called a beta league. So you play within these kind of two pools, and then top X amount of people promote in both pools, top or middle X amount stay in the same league, and then bottom X amount demote into a new league if it's created. So if we have enough people where we can justify having a C2 league next season, demotions may end up happening from these beta leagues. The different thing about this season is normally in the past when we've had beta leagues, there's a playoff that happens. So everyone plays 5 sessions, then the bottom parts of promotion through both C1A and C1B will play each other 2 and 2, and then it is the highest 2 promotes, and the bottom 2 stay in the same division. We also have the same thing for demotions. So the sort of top 4 demotion spots, the top 2 will stay in the C division, the bottom 2 will drop down. That being said, we're switching things up this division because a lot of the time with hiatuses, moving people up and down in the past historically, that hasn't actually had an impact on who promotes or demotes. So it's just, for this beta season, you're playing 6 straight. You'll have no idea how many promotion spots they're going to be, how many demotion spots are going to go down, whether it's going to be the full amount, whether it might not quite be as much, and it'll just stay in C1. But 6 games of very good importance, especially with how many other people you have to fight into promotion from C1 into B3.
And another complaint we'd had from some players is they thought they were going to get to play 24 games the last time we had a beta league season.
Mm-hmm.
But because we had to have some sort of playoff, then you can't really have 24 and then 4 more for people to try and schedule that. So you only got 20 games. And so it was a common request to just get rid of it. And it saved a lot of problems just organizing everything. All you need to do is beat the people in your pool. Doesn't matter where you are relative to the other pool. As if you're in 6, that's all that matters. If there are 12 spots, you'll get those promotions. And of course, we say it all the time. There will be extra promotions. You see here that only 3 have guaranteed promotions, but it's going to be a lot more. It always is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I also notice a Bert. That's not
Yeah.
you, is it?
No.
Is
I'm
that
right
the
below him in
is
session 6.
that the glorious return? Brett off hiatus? Brett back into the
Yeah,
ring? Did you get the little fix? You got the little itch?
I did. So, I mean, the past year, I mean, I've had a lot of my time taken up, but now I have moved in with my partner, and we don't have to make time for each other anymore because we just have time with each other. So now I'm back.
So now you're filling it with the drug of mahjong. That's what we like to hear.
And the obligatory Bert versus Brett game in session 6.
We will find out what is the true spelling.
What's the proper spelling?
I don't know. I feel like that comment might get you in trouble. You probably
That's
should
okay.
still try and make
Brett
a little bit of time.
Brett
Oh,
never
I mean, we
sent
do.
his partner the stream. It's fine. It's fine. So normally we like to point out interesting matchups, but I always feel like with the C leagues, there's so many new players and new names that we don't really know a whole lot about, that the most we can say is just, we'll have to tune in and see who these new faces are, who we'll have to see how they kind of wreak havoc on their way up to the top. And I feel like this season is the same, especially with so many new players joining the league. There's so many hidden bosses and just strong players who are going to get lost in the thing.
Yeah, and we're just way over schedule. So let's take a look at C1B.
Yeah. So,
Good luck to me.
boom! Now here's our other one. Again, much of the same. Want to give a special shout out to Josh H., who we still own as the DC Club until the South Virginia Beach Club actually sends their info to the ARA. Until they do that, we do still claim Josh. So please take as much time as you need. No rush, no rush. Already played some games. Josh has been killing it. Already plus 80 after 4. And a lot of, again, very familiar names. Mason W's been here before. Emily C, Taliesin C, Laura, who made it out to NAO, I believe, if I have the right Laura, joining, throwing their hat in the ring. Dave D, Justin N, who, if I have the right Justin, is a Maryland player affiliated with the DC Club, whether they forgot to put it or not. But so many very exciting things. A second Henry M, presumably from California. I have no idea. C.A. Henry could also
I don't know
stand
him, so.
for Chi Answer. I don't know, something funny.
And for
I
a
also want to
commentator,
point out
Ooh.
one more person, which is Feng Ming C. He is part of PML and is a very aggressive player and has made our quarterly league finals twice now since he joined this year. And we take top 4 only, so per quarter. So very strong, aggressive player. So very curious to see how he's going to do. And talking about Laura, she also teaches American Mahjong. So there's always the battle of styles here.
so the rule is you have to say Mahjong when you win. Or Ricci and then Mahjong. That's how this works, right?
That's
Absolutely.
The C1B
And the
difference.
Charleston. Can't forget that.
There you go.
Oh, Jesus. We got to get out of here. We got the Charleston mentioned.
I want to say for commentator problems, any game with my in it just sounds like it's going to be so confusing.
Yeah, Mai has already played a couple
My
games. this season.
hand is really good. Mai's hand is really
Mine's-
good.
That's okay. That's why
Has had
everyone
some
has an
good hands.
in-game handle. That way we just say that. It works out.
Just
unless...
pronounce it me and it'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll just mispronounce the name. Problem solved. So now let's work our way up to B3. Little bit more familiarity with a lot of the names here. We have Noelle, again, talked about her earlier. We have the North Dakotan, Michael L. Fargo themselves. Tara, Koichi, Gabe, again, strong DC player. Thomason, who's been in for a while. Ray, who demoted down. Binyi, who I feel like wasn't Binyi in the top 3 for C1 last season? Top 3 or 4?
It didn't end up making the top 3, but was in the upper portion.
Close, yes.
So a player who I
Did very
feel is
well.
a very strong player.
Yep. so many big names. And again, still a lot of unfamiliar names, I feel like, within this, or a lot of players who haven't explored their full potential.
Yeah, we also have some other names we recognize, like Alex, who's here in the commentary with us, Ty, who's been part of the Rochester scene for a long time, and of course Thomason. For the first time, Tom will make it out of the C League and has a nice silver name in the Discord, make it to the B finally. So again, big congratulations over there.
I miss my pink name.
And I always just have my name in pink. That sounds wonderful.
Just what is it? Withdraw from the league? Is that how you get the pink name? Something like that.
I think so. It's either new players who haven't yet been a part of the league, or just acting as substitute players,
Yeah.
or people who have participated in the league but have withdrawn.
Okay, let's move up. Heading up to B2. Now we have a lot of familiar names. Pretty much every single player here recognizable one way or another. A lot of strong matchups that I think are already going to be prevalent. I'm looking at table 3, round 1. There's TJ, Pio, Tucker, and Isabella. How are you feeling about that? Are you worried about that game? Because if you're not, you might want to take a second look. That is a strong
I am absolutely
table.
worried.
That
We're
is a
scheduled
tough
for
B2.
Friday.
Ooh.
I do want to point out for viewers who may not be aware, TJ, another one of the players who has qualified for Team USA for the IORMC, the International Online Reach Match competition. So that rounds up our list of players. We've seen them all.
This table, I was like, how lucky did I get in my very first round coming back from hiatus?
Congratulations.
That's great. That'll wake you up. You'll be so on it after this. If that's how you got to start, you'll be like, okay, this is what we got to do. If I can survive this table, it's smooth sailing.
I think you want to play all the players you're worried about on the same table, though, and then the rest of the tables you'll be.
Well, my very next session is Kaden, Quinn, and Yukfi, who we also saw doing quite well.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. The session 4, table 5, Ada, Pio, Lewis, and we saw Yukfi, 3 clips already? That does not sound like a fun table either. I mean, it'll be fun to me because I get to sit and watch, but...
Yeah, we're not a part of that. We got nothing in. God, I'm noticing even in session 1, 2, table 2 with Michael Horton, very good. I feel like Dama heavy player from Richinomi. DC's Dennis, Caden, who we talked about, and Shang Yu. I have a prediction that Dennis is going to get kind of slaughtered on this table because a lot of very in the hands, high value players. I don't know how comfortable Dennis is against. He picks off of me a little bit, and I know that's kind of my worst matchup on the table, but
you have to be the shark. It's in his name.
Right?
That is true. Dennis just needs to.
Every time I play with him,
Dennis just needs to pop off. He can do that. He can do that better than me. That's for sure. If Dennis just has his pop off week 1, he'll be fine.
Very good.
So now let us go up. One more round out the B1 league, and Jesus, that we say it every season. Every season gets tougher, and I'm looking at what is this? 3 A1 players down here, something like that.
At least Luce, I think that was a hiatus demotion.
Yeah, Luce, Stephen L made it to A1, right?
No.
Ellie's made it to A2. It's gotten very close to A1.
No, so what happened with Stephen L is Stephen L was the poor person that had, I think it was a plus 120 and stayed in A2.
Yeah, the rough season where they were like,
and then everything worked the exact opposite way and turned out demoted the next season. I think took a hiatus.
We've been robbed of a Jen Burst Garth table.
Oh,
that's what the snake ladder's for.
Yeah, that's name anywhere. Oh, I found it.
Jen's here. It's like a fun little word search, but you know.
All right.
Well, maybe we'll get. Yeah, we need to. I'll have to aim for some kind of
snipe each
placing.
I'm looking forward to the return of Takahiro from hiatus back in B1, looking to promote.
Yeah, Takahiro also started the same season that Jen and Garth did, and thought he was rid of them, but they're back.
No, we thought we were rid of him.
But actually, I think he was saying he manages to dodge both of you.
Wow,
At
good
least in terms
bracket.
of normal season. So
Yeah, that's true. Maybe the snake ladder is Takahiro, Jen, Garth, and then somebody else fun.
Okay,
We'll
the
throw in
table
Alon
that
or
just looks
somebody.
cursed to me is round 3, table 1.
Brian,
Brian,
Sarah, Luce, and
Table
Garth.
one.
I don't think that's
Wow.
that bad.
I've seen some aggressive players though. I think it'll be a fun table to watch.
I think that will be fun. I think Sarah and Luce a little bit more aggressive. Brian kind of more passive. Garth, we'll see if he keeps up the just play aggressive and things will work out.
Well, that's the thing is Garth has shown a different set of skills every season, and some are working and some aren't. I think he's really using Armel as kind of a testing ground for new theories.
That's crazy.
Wouldn't surprise me. And I mean, when you're used to like the Japanese meta, which is what we say all the time, it's so different than how Armel players play that I think playing the same style in both can be kind of challenging. From what?
Well, yeah,
Another thing is that in our league we usually play A rules. So now we have the
Oh.
WRC league, which is an
Mhm.
optional league. So we don't have any like mandatory leagues that use Ippatsu and Uradora.
Oh.
So it ends up
Very
being
changes
kind
it.
of testing for us. Yeah. So I think we both played WRC and WRCR leagues, which is with the Red Fives. But yeah, this is the most experience that we get playing in a league with Uradora.
No
and
Ipats or
Ipatsu, so-
Ura. God, that sounds like heaven.
Yeah.
Sounds
I'm
great.
sad.
Well, speaking of pro stuff, something I've mentioned on our Yukon Fuji coverage, plug.
Yes, please watch.
So on the official WRC channel, that is youtube.com/@WorldReachy, we've been doing broadcasts every couple weeks on Thursdays and Fridays starting at 4 Eastern of a women's league in Japan. There's a big demand for pro commentary. Jen has been organizing it. Nathaniel's been running the streams on Friday, and I usually close out the stream with a third game every broadcast.
Yep, and
Yeah,
Tips and Chicks is the other broadcaster on Thursdays. It's pretty much an all-star cast, in my opinion.
If not sick of listening to us broadcast here on Armel, you can hear us more on the WRC channel for Yukon Fuji Cup.
Speaking of plugs, I'll be doing End League commentary Friday starting at 7 Eastern. So we'll get that out of the way too.
Very
Okay.
good.
Right.
And
And
League's
I'll
always
be
a
in
fun
New
time.
York with Garth.
Wow.
Okay, I plug
no.
is Garth and I are going to New York, and we're having a Mahjong Matsuri on October 15th that anybody is welcome to come to. We really want you to come. You get a copy of my new book, which comes out next month. Or it comes out this month. It's already October. Yeah, the
in
book
response-
is out.
In response to the question in chat, the Yukon Fuji games are played at normal times in Japan. We get a copy of the feed recorded later. We strip it down. We have not seen the matches, and we just respond as normal because otherwise, the time zones would make it unwatchable.
Yeah, but it's within like 12 hours of the stream finishing when we start the English stream. So
Very
it's
short turnover to the rebroadcast.
and I'm always up really late finishing.
I appreciate all the work.
We appreciate your efforts in bringing Japanese mahjong to America and being more widely viewed. And I'm also very excited for your book. Many people from, I know at least the Seattle Club and San Francisco have done like a bulk order.
Yeah, a lot of clubs did bulk orders. I think I'm trying to remember who did the biggest order. I did want to shout them
New
out.
York?
Yeah, I think no, New York actually can buy the books directly on the Sparrow's Nest website because we have like sales tax and all that, and also be in New York, so you can pick up the books. But actually, the Philly Club bought 20 books. It's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Amazing.
Shout out to Philly. Thank you so much. Hopefully some of them will come over to New York for the Mahjong Matsuri as well, even if they already have a book. I guess if you've already bought a book, you want to come to Mahjong Matsuri, we'll work something out, so just DM me or Dave. Yeah. And Christine from Reach Know Me drew the cover, and it's amazing. I'm so in love.
Wonderful artist. She made the first round of Richinomi chips as well, from if I remember correctly.
And
Yeah,
now
I'm just amazed. And she'll be a guest in the Mahjong Matsuri as well. And we're going to dress in yukata. It's going to be really fun.
All right, well, lots there. I think we've done our plugs, so back to the pairings as we hit the A leagues here in A2.
yeah.
Harrison, what do you think? I seem to see your name up there.
Cursed, so cursed. Every bracket demon I've ever had in my entire life, besides Dustin in this league. So many flow players, so many players who are better at Snake. I'm gonna be fighting for my life, clearly, from these first 2 games. I've played 2 against Riley, Kate, and Julian. Surprise, surprise. Harrison eats scraps. They eat pod sumo and hit Ura 3s. Fighting for my life. Normal. Business is normal. But on a serious note, just insane. Every season, A2 gets stronger, harder. Lucked out that Max and Viet were both taking hiatuses. There was a world where both of them are here as well in this pool of players, and it's tough. Every season it gets harder.
I want to point out session 4, table 4, Kate, Irie, Claire, and Ricky. That's
Thank
gonna be
God I'm not on that table.
amazing table.
Holy nightmare table. Not for
I don't
me.
know. Your
Boy,
session 5
goodness.
table sounds like suffering to me.
Oh, my session 5 is pretty.
Oh, Jay.
That depends how I am.
Jay Barrington, yeah, it really feels like how Jay plays will affect everything at that table. Because Kenyon will just go off regardless.
Yeah,
Carrie
Kenyon will
is
go off.
like by the book, 100%.
Barry, I can read. If I put myself in a good position, I'll be fine by then. If I have to catch up and I have a bad first game, it's going to get bad really quick. So that's just the strategy. Just win before then. It's easy. Just do Ur 3. Epot Sumo. Go crazy.
If
Easy
clips are
game.
anything to go by, just hit Uda 3.
I
It
agree.
just works. There's got to be some other fun games. Kind of
Any table with Brian Wen is a table I want to watch.
Yeah.
I really, I think this could be one of the big storylines. Is can he climb all the way from C1 to A1 without any pauses, just straight up promotions?
Didn't Viet do that when he joined?
Yes,
Yes.
Viet
People
did
have.
every single season.
Yep.
But I think
So
Barry will be
Viet
the
was
first one to
actually
do it
more
from C1.
Yeah, so Viet did it and did it without ever needing a bonus promotion.
Yes, Viet was just raw in the top 5 in every single division to promote.
Incredible.
And of
So
course,
strong, so hard.
Harrison, you also have that Kevin guy. Your session 2 table.
Oh,
doesn't
dude,
look
I don't
particularly
even
fun.
want to start with Kevin. I swear to God, if he doesn't show up for a game this series, again, I'm going to be angry. I'm going to have to drive down to New Jersey, where Kevin is temporarily residing at New York.
be back in
Still
DC.
ours,
You'll
still
get to
ours,
see them again.
still ours. But yes, Kevin wasn't able to find his groove. I know he's been adapting to Zoom job stuff, but I expect he will come back stronger and better than ever. I'll have to see if I can do as well as last season when I played him. I think I played Bishen and Rachel with Kevin last season, and now I have Claire and Eric. Claire, who I think this is actually my second time ever having to play her in an official format, with the first time being last season. I almost never get to play Claire, not in friendlies. And then Eric, who I swear to God I play every season. So comfortable around Eric. I feel like I got 40 games against that guy at this point.
Yeah, and with Irie DC claiming 3 people in A2,
Yeah.
lots of actions. And yeah, it's mentioned in comment in the chat here. The story of the league is people trying to get their first shot at A1 versus vengeful, demoted A1 players. I completely agree with that.
And then it's me. Damn, am I the only person hard stuck? Eric too. Me and him have both.
Eric's
been
been pretty
trying
hard
to scrape
stuck.
A1.
He
Yeah.
demoted and came back, but he's been pretty hard stuck. Blake's kind of floated around a bit, but I think this is his first time in A2.
Yeah, I think this is Blake's first time.
He'd been
think-
floating around B1, B2 a while.
Yeah, people forgot about Blake because of the hiatus, but Blake's
Mhm.
back and here to get into A1.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of A1.
Yeah, let's switch over.
Dun, dun,
Let's
dun, dun,
see.
dun, dun,
How is the
dun.
top looking?
How
Probably
can
scary.
Korak finally win?
The answer is
that's-
no, but
I'm demoting. Like, there's no question. It's just, it's time.
I
What the-
can't.
This is crazy.
I can't explain
Okay, so-
why, but this feels like a volatile A1.
It is.
Andre
Well, okay,
Lucas, Dustin,
when-
Nathaniel.
look at the number
Table
of
one.
just pure flow players.
Oh yeah,
Joe, Amy,
Christine for sure.
Clinton. Simon's kind of a
Dustin.
hybrid.
Dustin,
Christy, yeah, you
absolutely.
mentioned.
Dustin only gets carried on
Dustin.
flow, 100%.
Beechan,
Amy.
Hanem Andre.
Yeah, it's every one
Ugh.
of these sessions is I don't know. Because you're gonna have one or two flow players who are just they're either going to win everything or win nothing, and then one or two by the book player like I know what they're doing, I just don't know that I can stop them. And I will say that third table looks pretty cursed.
Andre Lucas, Dustin, Nathaniel.
No, I meant mine. Oh, there's that Nathaniel person.
Yeah, but also
Um,
Amy and Jonathan.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
Jonathan
Ooh.
goes for big
Ugh.
sumos, and Amy just. So
Amy just
this
pops
is a
off.
long
I
story for one of the
experienced
earlier
it.
seasons in Amy. She had going into the final session an average of 1 aura
Per win.
per Ichi win.
That's so gross. That's so
Oh,
disgusting.
The A1 chat was nothing but mauling for months. It was hilarious.
That's my lasting impression of Amy, that she is the Ura queen.
Actually, I think that's what happened when I played Amy too. She just hit everything. Her rate was crazy. Me, I'm opening the bag, nothing left. I got a breadcrumb, 1 on a Pinfu, and said we're so up today.
Yeah, there are also a couple of Dama players back in A1 in Steve and Bishan, who'd both been in A1 for a long time and then demoted into A2. Bishan's kind of bounced back and forth the last few seasons.
Yeah,
though.
Bishan does like to go back and forth.
Beechan
He's
just
been
wants
in
to dominate
A1
his
for like
Pinfus.
6
That's
straight
all he
seasons
wants.
and then up and down every season since, I think. One season where he stayed in A2.
So some names that I'm looking forward to seeing though in A1. First time for David K in A1.
Yep.
Has been very consistent in his play. Also, Leon coming back from hiatus is going to be quite fun to watch. And Christine, her first time in A1. Really looking forward to. Well, do I get the chance to play against her this season? She always kills me in live play, but maybe I'll be able to get my revenge online. But Andre's back. That's always a challenge. He always hits Hanuman Sumo. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, Hanem
And,
Andre himself.
Matthew, will he manage to pull another monstrous performance out?
The table that I'm glad I'm not playing at is Session 3, Table 5.
Oh,
Aaron, Simon,
Jesus.
Will, and Steve.
Ugh. Ugh. Not for me. No, thank you. Oh, jeez. I'm getting cold shivers thinking about playing on that. That's a hard table, especially because I feel like Steve's do. Oh, speaking of that, time for us to play the most fun. Who's gonna take home the A1 crown?
Okay, so the rules on this one, you have two. First, you have to say who's going to win, and second, you have to pick a surprise demotion. I mean, I've
Of
already
course.
gone out and said I'm demoting, so
Yeah,
I get a
yeah,
preview
yeah.
on that one. But who do I think's going to win this season? I think it's Amy. Her play style is just built for winning A1. She's been close once, and if she can string the games together, she will hit those dealer Baimons. She will get points. The question is, does she throw it all away? And her defense has gotten better progressively every season that I've seen.
Yeah, my vote for promotion here. I think Steve has changed his playstyle a little bit from being that very dominant defensive heavy to a little more aggression, and got a nice promotion out of A2 last season. I wonder if we'll see slightly modified Steve playstyle have a bunch of success here in A1. In terms of demotion, I mean, the answer is obvious. It's still Korak. I know you're technically not allowed to pick the same person, but there's no other choice. After 10 consecutive seasons, the only player from the inaugural A1 to have stayed in A1, to have played in A1 every single season, it must be Korak demoting.
Okay, I'm getting a bunch of grief from chat here. So if you want me to pick another name that's actually has surprised emotion, I think Leon maybe has had a season off, is a
I
very,
could see
very
it,
passive player in a league that doesn't really feel like it's going to fit. I think Leon may underperform this season.
I think my vote for winning, just because I'm a big fan of hers, is Christine. And I think she can get the hands if she has a little bit of luck and is just kind of how aggressive she normally is in casual play. And then I think my demotion pick, besides Korak,
Everyone's like, yeah, he's screwed. Forget it. Korak's doomed.
will probably be Lucas, because of just how few Snake players are left up here. I think Snake play might not be great for this particular setup for League.
I want to go. I think
It's up to you.
Sleeper pick, Simon. I think it's Simon's season. Simon has had some very strong seasons and then some brushes with death. I think Simon's popping off this one. And then, to no one's surprise, I think Dustin's egg is cooked. Justice will be served. He will not flow up, and all his throwing during the season will finally catch up to him, and he will fall. Finally, as I rise, of course. A
That is
trade
Kofi
of
if I've
equal
ever
amount
heard
will
it.
be made. Just trust me, if I get to A1, Dustin has to fall. It's the law of equality, the law of alchemy.
All right, Jen, I think you're up.
I mean, I don't know all the players.
That's
like,
okay. Just pick
in
someone
detail
random.
enough.
That's the fun
Winner
part.
surprise.
Just say a name.
You can
You can pick
Korak to
Dustin
demote.
too.
See, this is when you make up a rule like JPMO won't let me do this or something along those lines. And then we have to say, okay, fine,
it's
and move
against
on.
the TOS of the contract. My bad.
Well, I'll say that I think Nathaniel's on a roll, so I'm expecting to see him toward the top. Even though the last season was bad, I think in the Chicago result was the start of a streak that's going to continue in the fall season. And I mean, I'm going to root for Christine. And I want to see Korak stay. I don't want to see the demotion. I want to be in the same league, but I want to make it up to A1 to play against Korak.
So not unanimity there, but the panel definitely believing I'm going to crash and burn. And they're probably right. But so there are a whole bunch
I
of...
think you're too solid. I think it's...
You're all wrong. Korak,
what do you
you're
have?
winning. You're winning this one.
No, I'm being hexed!
I think we're going to see Korak versus... It's going to be like similar to the Chicago ending, I think.
Just repeat
Oh boy,
the
Steve's gonna be
table.
there.
Oh,
Is he there?
But Steve was
was
also
top
fighting
eight.
for the top as well. It's gonna be a repeat.
Okay, so it's going to be the three of you. Okay, that's my prediction.
I'm
not going to curse anyone to move down.
I feel similar. I don't want to say anyone is gonna lose.
You can just
You
say
have so
Korak,
many
that's-
cop outs. This is like the best time to do that.
Right, it's
Well, I
easy
can't
as
say Korak 'cause
dumpster
I
anyone
think
in this
he'll
call.
win.
You can see Nathaniel or Korak, and it's a free pick.
You could say
Fine.
Dustin too. I'm a proxy at this point. So again, the
I can
more
hear
the
him
merrier.
now. Shit. Hello, Dustin.
You
Hey, the thing is, I
just
go
gotta
into every
reachy that.
game.
What do you mean?
Mm.
You just reachy.
Like, I go into every game assuming that I'm the weakest player, so I never am good at determining who's going to do poorly.
If Jen is the weakest player, then everyone is doomed.
No.
If you've looked at A2, well, now Jen's in B1 now, so
Yeah.
if B1 she's the weakest player at the table, then yeah, Armel has gotten plenty strong.
Dustin's in the chat and he's upset with me for some reason.
No, see, the response isn't hello, Brett. It's hello, Brett, smile.
Yeah.
I think that period is doing some heavy lifting.
Hello, Brett.
All right. Well, a whole bunch of good matchups. Armo's getting stronger. That's
Yep.
been the point, is the American scene needed a competitive league to try and build up value, build up interest. And we come up here. This will be the last season of year 3. The big celebration to Armo
3
for getting
whole
through it
years.
at the end of this season. And I told you guys to update the YouTube link, and you didn't.
Listen, we did a
Choice.
lot. We got big hands on the preseason show. 6 commentators together, which is the most because it benefits me to say that right now. Something else that was impressive about this. We did a lot. We could fix that later. We'll do it.
We
This
did a
was the
lot.
work.
This went
We
a
went
lot
overtime.
longer, and it
Mhm.
felt like it flew by.
And
So,
and
any
we-
closing
yeah.
thoughts?
I would just want to say that I'm so impressed with the league. Edwin has done an amazing job. Chase has done an amazing
Chase,
job. The
yes, so
commentators
much
have
back
just been
door stuff. It's crazy.
incredible. Keeping up commentary so often for a league that has so many sessions. I think our pro leagues only have 20 games, and this is 24 for so many people. And keeping up with commentary for so long is amazing. And I'm just really impressed. Like the level of play in America, I think because of Armo has gone up so much.
And speaking of commentators and broadcasters, we're in need. We're always looking for people to commentate games, and especially if you have a computer that can run games that are above potato level, you can probably run an Armo stream. It's not that hard. I'll walk you through it. I'll hold your hand. I'll give you the training share, whatever you want to call it. I'll set it all up for you. Just broadcast. Spend some bandwidth, spend some time. We need more directors and commentators. Please, if you are interested, type it in the Armo chat. I'm assuming Edwin or Chase or somebody will make a post about it soon. Be looking out. We are always looking for people to help out on the broadcasting. We had a lot of games caught last season. We could have had way more. We had way more that weren't caught. So if you are interested or think you can and are willing to put some time, we greatly appreciate it. It is all volunteer. We love having people help out to broadcast and get VODs and do all these things to help grow the scene through Armo.
And even if
it's
you aren't
fun.
doing that, if you're just watching and you see an interesting thing pop up on screen, grab a clip. You might see it in a
Yes.
show like this.
Grab a clip. We love seeing them. We'll use it in the preseason show, like most likely.
We just did.
Help us
Yep.
achieve the goal of making sure every person in Armo gets to be on the official broadcast at least once.
Yeah, we tried and we held it for like a year and a half, and then there just got to be too many people.
There's
We're
so
like,
many people.
this isn't realistic. We need a lot more of a volunteer force to get it. But with that, Armo looking good. Again, we're hitting towards the end of year 3, so let's wrap it up here. A lot of intense action and a bunch of huge fights, interesting matchups. So for the American Reach Mahjong League, we have Nathaniel, Jen, Isabella, Brett, Harrison, and this is Korak wishing everyone a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Weekly streams,
See you
8
next
p.m.
time.
Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. Be looking out. Woo! Sometimes we start earlier if there's games. Woo!
Happy birthday.
To go.
Oh, thank you. My birthday stream flopped yesterday, so I'm going to
Oh,
try a
no.
revenge stream. My
Oh,
computer was a potato, so I cannot help.
Oh,
Bye
I'm
bye.
sorry. I
Bye-bye.
wasn't sure.
See you next.